Hey everybody, welcome to Geekoholics.com, episode 83. My name is Rico. I'm here with my co-host,
Dayne Cody.
Dayne Cody. We get together once a week, talk about video games, TV, movies, and whatever the hell we like. If you've never listened before,
thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, of course. And usually we open the show with our designated drinking section, where Dayne shares what wonderful liquor he may be taking part in. Then we get into some what you've been playing, news, and then our free-for-all, like I said at the top, where we talk about whatever the hell we like. I'm a little under the weather. Sorry. Sick day today. Just a little stuffed up, head cold. I don't know where I got it or what's going on, but I don't feel awesome.
Boo.
Yeah, it sucks.
Ugh. It's that time of season, right? Unfortunately.
I loaded myself up with drugs.
Nice. Don't fall asleep halfway through this podcast.
Yeah, not the sleepy kind, though.
Oh, okay, good.
Just the kind that, like, relieve the aches, pains, and headache.
Ah, yes. That kind.
So, Dayne.
Yo, what's up?
What are you drinking?
I am drinking a snake bite tonight, which is Yukon Jack with some lime juice and just a splash of not really tonic water, carbonated water, just to kind of give it a little bit of sparkle. But it's mainly like the nice flavors. So Yukon Jack's kind of a slightly sweet 40% alcohol liquor. I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of a whiskey-ish. It's nice. Yeah, there you go. Add a little bit of lime in there, and you're good to go.
You weren't drinking that last week, but you drank that before, didn't you?
I have had this on the show before, yeah.
Okay.
Not last week, though. I was drinking scotch last week.
As usual, I always aim to disappoint. I am drinking iced tea. It's a really good iced tea, though. Yeah,
you made it is it the powdered kind?
Yep. What's the brand? I can't remember. Good Host.
Oh, dude, that is not the good stuff.
I think that's what it's called. I don't know. It's like
the stuff you get in a giant can at Costco.
Yep. Exactamundo.
Growing up, I had a friend of mine. They constantly had a large pitcher of that in their fridge at all times. So, brings back some good memories. But it is definitely not the good iced tea, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just sugar and water.
Exactly.
It's far from good, but it's what I have.
Fair enough.
I have so much booze upstairs, too. I just have nothing to mix it with.
So disappointed in you. Mix it. You don't need things to mix with booze. You just drink the booze.
Do you drink gin straight?
Absolutely. It's
vodka
a good gin.
Straight?
Oh, yeah. Good sipping vodka. Absolutely.
This is weird.
If you need to, add an ice cube or two. But whatever.
Okay, maybe next week I'll drink something straight. And then I can get approval or not.
Or here you go. You take your vodka, you add some carbonated water, some sparkling water, and grab your either a fresh lime or some lime juice, little shot of that in there, give it a whirl, bam, there you go. Drink. Easy, delicious. And if you don't have any vodka, add some gin. Same thing.
Are you
delicious.
Just making that up, or is it an actual drink?
No, that's a drink that I drink on a regular basis in my house. And my wife. And I've ordered it at bars. I can't remember the technical name for it, but it's a drink. And it's good. So.
Okay, maybe next week I'll break the streak of non-drinking.
There you go.
So, I was going to say...
Don't be doing that if you're sick, though. I mean,
no,
maybe you should be drinking tea or something, you know?
Yeah, I did have the tea earlier, but I just had the last echinacea tea this afternoon, so I don't have anything right now. I needed to go get some, but I didn't want to leave the house.
Fair enough.
I was thinking, is anything going on this week? No, not really. It's pretty low-key. I played a decent amount of video games. I was thinking before I sat down, I'm like, I didn't freaking play anything, but it's like actually like I almost finished Infinite Warfare.
Wow,
nice. I don't know what my game clock is, but I think I played 15 or 20 hours of Pokemon Moon.
Wow.
And then I played some Dishonored. I have way too many games right now.
I'm in a similar boat. I'm in a similar boat.
So, and then I went and saw Doctor Strange on the weekend as well, so we could talk about that later, because you beat me to the punch.
Oh, man.
That's the first movie in the theater I've seen, I think, since my baby was born.
Fair enough. You see it in IMAX?
So IMAX 3D.
Awesome. So
I even treated my friend to a showing.
Wow.
Because I have like 9,000 scene points.
Oh, that's like 4 movies.
I'm like, no, it's like 6 movies, dude. It's like 1,500 points for IMAX.
That's what I mean. 1,500 points for IMAX now.
9,000 divided by 1,500, that's 6.
Okay.
Anyway,
there you go. You got some free movies.
I'm like, I haven't seen any movies in a while, and I'm just like, I have so many points. I can treat you. I'm like, just buy me some candy or something. So it worked
nice.
out. You saw a movie for $5.
There you go.
Anyway,
which is significantly cheaper than
the 17
what the IMAX price is. I think it's $19 at our theater for IMAX.
That's crazy. I think when it gets over $20, you're paying too much money. You should like get a copy of it.
You have an option to do that now.
Yeah,
because you can convert it into a super ticket.
But that's like $30 or $40.
I know. It's pretty pricey.
Isn't that for like the shitty Cineplex like streaming version? Or do you get a physical?
No, it's a digital copy from somewhere. I don't remember what platform it's on, if it's Google Play or if it's an ultraviolet copy or how it works exactly.
Because it's dumb.
Never really looked into it, to be fair.
Because it's dumb.
So,
I said it. It's dumb. So we can get into what you've been playing.
What have you been playing?
I was really trying to think if I did anything. I can't. This is like not really game related, but we took the baby swimming for the first time.
Oh, how'd you like that?
Went to the pool. She was like a deer in headlights. She was just like mouth open and eyes just like wide open. She's overwhelmed by like all the kids running around.
Right.
So I think she was just like, whoa, double rainbow. She like literally, she was just like stunned.
Awesome.
For a while. So it was like, oh my God, my baby's high. But after she got over it, half an hour later, she was actually smiling and splashing around and having a really good time. It was a lot of fun, man. I haven't been in a pool, like besides on vacation, like locally, just going to the pool. It was really chill. It was awesome.
I like the pool a lot.
It was fun. I want to go again. Like we were in the kids' hot tub. Like it's not quite a hot tub, but it's like a warm pool.
Right. Not as hot as the regular one.
Yeah, it's because where all the kids go to pee, so it warms it up.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's like the wave pool and stuff, but it was pretty funny.
That's so gross.
So I was like I was singing this stupid Baby Shark song. Maybe some of the parents out there might know what I'm talking about. And she was like a baby shark, and I was making her attack my wife. It was pretty funny. She really liked that. She was actually giggling.
Right on.
And then it was a bunch of nothing else. Playing video games. Yeah, so back on topic.
Okay.
Infinite Warfare. I'm right at the end. I know I'm right at the end. The way the story is like going, how many missions I've gone in. Honestly, with Titanfall 2 being so good.
Yes.
Battlefield 1 being feels pretty good so far. Honestly, I didn't go back and play any more Battlefield, but it is definitely on my to-do list after this is done. But I kind of think I screwed up the order. I think I should have played Battlefield first, because I think going back to it is going to be kind of like, this is just I'm on the ground and shooting stuff without any of the traversal and cool stuff that like Titanfall and Infinite Warfare have. But
it really sucks because
I don't know.
I feel like that game had the potential to have like really cool traversal and stuff. Because you have the exosuits and things on again,
no.
don't you?
I was talking about Battlefield.
Oh,
like it's going to be weird going to Battlefield and not having like the double jump and the floaty jump and the wall runs and stuff.
No,
and the old school.
I went from Titanfall to Battlefield 1. It's not weird at all. It's great.
Okay,
they're both fantastic games.
Yeah. So
I will get into Battlefield 1 when you're done.
Infinite Warfare.
Yes,
was not high on my radar.
Right.
Black Ops 3 was good. It was a solid title.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember anything from it. Like, it was a popcorn flick. I saw it. It was great. Worth the price of admission. But
remembered playing it and enjoying it, but can't really remember the story.
It's not like I don't remember any characters. There's no memorable moments like in the Modern Warfare remastered version, you know, like the sniping mission and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Remembering that game, and that game's that's pretty old now. But Infinite Warfare, so it wasn't high on my radar. It's just like, it's another freaking Call of Duty. The last two have honestly been pretty disappointing. Like not disappointing and bad, but just they did nothing. It wasn't like Titanfall 2 or Doom or like Far Cry. Like this, wow, this is a freaking awesome shooter. It's doing some new things.
Well, I thought not. Like you said, Black Ops 3 I remember enjoying it, but I don't really remember a ton of the story per se.
No, because
the game before that, I absolutely remember, and it was quite possibly the best Call of Duty game in years.
Which one was the one before Black Ops? I can't even remember.
That was Future Warfare?
Advanced Warfare. Yeah.
That was the one with Kevin Spacey.
That one was good. I did like that
game
one.
was incredible. The single player version, like part of that game, was awesome.
Yeah,
it was well done. The story was cool. You felt like a badass. The traversal was great.
Yeah,
Not
I really
Titanfall great, but great. And the level design was well designed around it. So it's really only the last one that I feel kind of let the torch down a bit.
You're kind of getting like, oh, there's one every year. It's just like, another Call of Duty. Here we go again.
I actually think that they should skip a year.
No, they
soon. I feel like they have to coming up because these are not billion-dollar titles anymore. And maybe the problem is that
I don't know about that.
I think maybe for us, people who play a lot of different games, we're playing lots of different types of games all throughout the year. And I feel like I'm just burnt out of Call of Duty games.
Yeah.
I think that if they were to skip a year, I would appreciate playing another Call of Duty game. But then I have to remember that there are a lot of people out there who buy the yearly Call of Duty game, and that's besides that and Madden and maybe another one or two games. That's really all they play.
Yeah.
Especially the multiplayer, and I forget that I am not that person.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And that's why these games come out every year for those people. Like I'm seeing that a bit more from my wife with Skylanders.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only game she plays.
She wants one every year.
Yeah, and she's excited when there's a new one that comes out because really that's the only thing she really plays.
So
being
someone who's played, like you said, a lot of games and feeling kind of burnt out, my expectations were not very high. Activision, I'm pretty sure I said this last week, did provide me with a copy of the game.
Right.
Even so, I had, without them giving me a copy, I heard a lot of people give the campaign some positive praise, even saying that it's possibly better than Titanfall 2.
What?
I probably would have picked it up just from all the positive stuff I had heard.
Right.
The campaign in Infinite Warfare is freaking awesome. The characters are awesome. The missions are cool. They vary the structure up quite a bit.
Nice.
Unlike Titanfall 2, where Titanfall 2, the gameplay is broken up from on foot and the Titan mech combat.
Yep.
This has the Jackal missions, or even in between missions, you're in and out of your Jackal. And the Jackal is your like space fighter that everyone was kind of like, I don't know about that. But actually, the Jackal combat missions are awesome. They're a lot of fun. It reminds me of like Colony Wars, if you remember that, back in the old PlayStation 1 days, space shooter. Just fast action, very tight feeling space combat shooter. I really like the Jackal missions. They're just like in between the story missions. It's really cool. Like, I don't want to spoil too much because the story is pretty decent. But I will say, basically, your group is attacked by what are they called? The SDF. I can't remember what it stands for now. But basically, they're a militarized group that are not from Earth. They're like the people who had left Earth and colonized the outer planets. Basically like the mine workers and militant types. And they've outpaced Earth's population. So they're this giant war machine.
Oh, wow.
And basically, they don't want Earth telling them what to do, meddling with them and so forth. And it's basically become them versus us. And it's just come to a boiling point where they're just like, you know what, we're just going to wipe Earth off the map and screw you guys. You're going to be like under our boot and heel and be begging for mercy. And the game opens up with them attacking Earth and like super devastating attack, surprise attack. Anyway, it's kind of Battlestar Galactica-esque. Like, did you watch Battlestar Galactica? No, the Cylons just screwed the humans. Did you watch that?
No.
No? Okay, well, in Battlestar Galactica, basically, they had a bunch of sleeper Cylons, the robots, who basically took down all of Earth's defenses, and the Cylons just came in and basically decimated humans, and they got away with one ship. And this is Infinite Warfare. It's kind of the same thing. You get away with a couple of your big battle cruisers, and that's it. The rest of the fleet's been decimated.
Oh, wow.
So you kind of go into hiding in space, and then you're like, you've just had your ass handed to you. There's barely any of you left. Your ship's falling apart, and you're basically just scraping up your few forces that are left to like manage a counteroffensive. And I don't know, something about this game. The characters are really well written. Their interactions with each other are really cool. You know their names. You recognize their voices. There's also a robot buddy in this, like in Titanfall 2.
Really?
And honestly, he's pretty awesome as well. Whereas the robot in Titanfall 2 is more like dry like a robot, but it made for really funny instances. This guy actually has a personality because he's like more, like even more so of an AI, but they gave him quite a bit of a personality. He's pretty awesome as well. His name's Ethan.
Okay.
Anyway, you go on missions.
So you're saying that they were inspired by Titanfall 2?
I don't know. They came out at the same time, but it's coincidence, I would say. But it's cool because you have your first couple missions you do, and then it opens up. A series of events happen, and then you end up becoming. It's kind of a minor spoiler. Sorry, minor spoiler. Skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to know.
I don't want to know. Okay, I'm skipping ahead.
You have no choice. You become the captain of one of the cruisers.
Oh.
So at this point, you can actually select missions. So it goes out to the Milky Way or our galaxy or whatever, our solar system. So
you choose the mission structure. You can choose where
to go next. Yeah, there's like side missions, which you complete, which unlock perks and weapon
upgrades and abilities, things like that.
Not the abilities, but the mods. You know how the Call of Duty, you choose your mods like sights and so forth.
Yep.
For when you're customizing your gear, you unlock that stuff. But it's really cool because it's different. There'll be like assault missions. There'll be straight Jackal like fighting missions, but it almost feels like awesome Star Fox levels. Some of the Jackal levels, like there'll be one level where you just got to go take out some of their big ass battle cruisers.
Do a barrel roll.
And I don't know, the fighting felt really, do a barrel roll. You can't really do a barrel roll in this.
Oh.
You can do pretty evasive maneuvers. I might have missed the barrel roll or the loop-de-loop commands.
Fair enough.
Maybe you can do them and I'm an idiot and I missed them.
That would be awesome.
It's really cool because you'll have one of those side missions will be you go and you destroy some of their cruisers, but meanwhile you're fighting their fighter pilots. There'll be ace pilots who like try and hunt you down and launch missiles at you. It's cool because you've got flares for when you get locked on. You've got a couple different weapons. You've got like, you can mix it up because you can change the loadout on your Jackal as well.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
To the 20 millimeter, 30 millimeter machine guns. There's even an energy cannon machine gun. Then there's like huge, heavy caliber, like giant cannons, which are slow firing, but huge damage, which are really good at taking out the ships. It's neat because it shows you can see all the individual turrets on the ships. And as you destroy the turrets, they explode. And as you disable the ship more and more and more, eventually it will explode. They're almost like little mini boss battles, kind of, with their weak points that you're centering on.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Meanwhile, using your flares to avoid missile lock-ons, and then having to break off and take on an ace fighter that comes by and strafes and starts shooting at you. It's like, okay, I can't sit here taking on this big ship. I got to go deal with that guy. So those are really cool, and they mix it up. It's not just that. On some levels, you like basically use your Jackal, disable a ship, you board the ship, like you get on the ship you were just fighting, and you go in and,
sounds kind of Star Wars-y, where you can jump out. Do you have a lightsaber?
No, you don't have a lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
It's really neat because you go onto the ships and they'll have different objectives. Like one of them. So
you're actually fighting in the zero-G, kind of floating around.
Yep. It switches from zero G.
Jetpack on.
You have a little jetpack. You can go up and down. You can even roll like over like a ship. You've got and they actually give you a grapple when you're in zero G, which makes
probably
it really
a good idea.
Really cool to get around the environment. So like there'll be asteroids, and you can grapple an asteroid and like pull yourself across an area.
Do your boots have magnets
so cool.
in them?
Yeah, when you land on a ship, you'll stick to it.
Okay, cool.
Which is kind of neat.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That could be awkward otherwise.
It is kind of weird when you're floating around in space and you're a little disorientated and those guys are shooting at you and it's like, oh crap, I gotta just land on the ship so I can get my bearing. It's really neat. It's really, really cool how they reuse these assets, like these giant ships, that it's just not a throwaway. Like all these side missions involve different objectives and they reuse and mix up some of the stuff. Some, like I said, sometimes it's just you do it straight up fighting ships in your Jackal the whole time, and it's just a space combat mission. Some of them it's half and half, and you board, you execute your goal. There's multiple different ones. I don't really want to spoil them.
Jump back in your ship
because they're really cool. Away. Yep, exactly. Escape, jump on your ship, fly away, or so destroy the ship after. It's really well done. I honestly have loved the gameplay loop in this game. I'm so surprised because it was not high on my radar. I was ready to totally dismiss it. And what people are saying, it is probably one of the best Call of Duty campaigns in a long time. Wow. If not the best, next to the original Modern Warfare. It's really good.
Which team did this? Was this Sledgehammer?
It's Infinity Ward.
This was Infinity Ward, okay.
Yeah. Plus Raven and I guess whoever else helped them. I think Raven did the multiplayer stuff.
Pretty heavy on the multiplayer.
The multiplayer's kind of meh because the Titanfall 2 multiplayer is just so much better.
Right.
It's not bad if you like the Black Ops 3 multiplayer. It's more of that. Like it's not bad at all. Like the multiplayer's fine. I was playing it with my brother-in-law, but compared to Titanfall 2's multiplayer, to me, the kind of player I am, I just like Titanfall 2's multiplayer so much better.
I played a bunch of Titanfall 2 multiplayer this weekend, and it is fucking awesome. Good.
It is so good. So that's a little disappointing. So good. I talked about zombies last week. I played a bunch more. A bunch more. I like zombies. Yeah. It's fun. I think zombies is hilarious. It's pretty
You're
fun.
Always playing with friends, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could play with randos, too, but me and Trevor...
it's one of those things that would be really good with people that you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
it would kind of be thrown away if it was just randos.
It really reminds me of Left 4 Dead.
Interesting.
But with branching paths and all kinds of neat little environmental puzzles and unlocks and stuff you can do to change or create advantages in the areas you're in. It's really cool. There's so many little secrets and unlocks. You're in an amusement park, right?
Right.
And it's cordoned off, and as you kill zombies, you earn money and open up different parts of the park where different weapons are, and the park, like...
is huge.
It's huge, and it curls around itself, and it's like, oh, this links back to this area. We've been here before. Oh, we know what we're doing. Then you have that advantage of kind of knowing the map and not feeling disorientated. So we play more of that. I see why that mode's pretty popular. That mode would be really, really fun. So
cool.
You kind of got 3 games here. So like, even though I don't really care for the regular multiplayer too much, like it's not bad. It's just I'm playing, in my opinion, Titanfall 2's multiplayer is much better.
Right.
But man, the campaign is so good. It's really good. I really like it. It's got that awesome amount of sci-fi. You said it earlier. It really feels like a Star Wars. Like,
that's cool.
Space opera. The characters in it are great, and it's not just on foot combat. Like you're
flying around in spaceships,
doing neat stuff. This jumping in your jackal. It feels like Top Gun at the same time.
That's
really cool. Launching sequence when you leave your ship, and you even have to land your ship as well. It's really cool. You at the end of missions, when you're in your jackal, you'll land your ship on the big battle cruiser, which is kind of neat. It'll show you like a path that you just got to cruise into. It kind of autopilots after you get in it, but you fly through the rings and then you land on the ship. Is really neat every time the mission ends.
What is really interesting for me, I think, is where do they go from here?
It is interesting. I haven't quite beat it, and I'm right at the end, so I don't know if it's going to be like a cliffhanger ending to set something else up. But
right, for an Infinity Warfare 2 or Infinite Warfare 2,
I would not
be 2 years
with how good it is and how happy I'm with it. I would not be upset with a sequel to this.
Interesting.
It's really good. It's great.
We're looking at right now Infinity Warfare. Battlefield decided to go back to sort of its roots, sort of pre-roots more than anything, with Battlefield 1, set pre-World War II in World War I, obviously. Whereas, obviously, Call of Duty has pushed forward into the future.
Yeah, because Titanfall kind of dragged them forward, right?
Right.
The original Titanfall.
But Titanfall feels way farther in the future. Or even in an alternate universe, if you will, is kind of where Titanfall feels to me. Now, I haven't played Infinite Warfare.
Compared to the multiplayer, it's just faster,
right?
It's just more responsive. But in terms,
the question I have
the campaign's very, very similar.
Right.
Instead of a Titan, you've got your Jackal. It's. Mm-hmm.
But where do they go from here? Do they continue forging into the future? Do they maybe go back more to a modern current event type warfare? That's kind of, or do they go pre Battlefield? Kind of do what Battlefield has done and go back to World War II.
You know what I think? I think if they were smart, and what I would like to see, I would love to see a continuation of this game, right. This world. I love this world's awesome. Like how we were ranting and raving about Titanfall's world, Titanfall 2. This one is so well established as well, and the characters are awesome.
Right.
I would like to see this continued. I'm gonna guess that the guys who did Advanced Warfighter might go back to a Modern Warfare type thing. Yeah, because I imagine they'll mix it up between the teams between current and future. I don't know if they'll ever go back though.
See, I would actually really like to see them go to
three. They could do all three. They could do past, present, and future.
Yeah. See, one area that I think is interesting that we've not yet really seen at all in video games is you've got the Korean War, for one. Speaking of historical warfare. And also you've got Vietnam, which has been briefly touched upon in recent years.
In Battlefield, but like that's in multiplayer only, really.
That's kind of what I mean. We saw a little bit of that in the first Black Ops game, where you kind of went back to Vietnam in certain parts of it.
I never played the first Black Ops.
The other thing that's interesting to me is you also have Desert Storm that is still modern, but a little bit older. The technology is not quite where it is right now.
I think doing current stuff is too sensitive. Because they were going to release that 7 Days in Fallujah. Was that what it was called or something else? There's some like
I know what you're talking about.
There was a shooter that Konami was going to release. That was basically like you just said, Desert Storm.
It got
people
it
were
was
pretty
supposed to be
upset about it, and they basically just didn't release it
yeah
because of the negative backlash on it.
that got rolled up into the last. I think Spec Ops. Isn't that what kind of got rolled into Spec Ops: The Line? I believe.
I don't think so. No, I think that one just got shelved completely. I can't remember the name of it, but
I know what you're talking about, though. That was a few years ago now.
They got, it was almost a lot of flack. Point. The developers were kind of upset because apparently it was not a bad game. It's just, I think if you do anything that's just two current events, touches too close to home, and there's too many people that are affected by it
Modern Warfare 4,
to have that disconnect.
Modern Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, that was current. That was
current but fictionalized, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like and that's not real places. Like that game had real places. I think it was in Iraq and so forth.
Right.
Like with what you're saying. With the real stuff, I think it has to have enough of a time frame to have a disconnect for people to be like not in it or have lived through it.
Right. Because I guess we kind of saw the Medal of Honor guys,
like if someone made
dive
a game
into it very much. The Afghanistan, that was all very sort of on the nose.
You could make a game about 9/11 and going to Afghan and Bin Laden and stuff. Can you imagine the amount of backlash it would have, though?
Well, ultimately, that's what not the last Modern or Medal of Honor, but the one before it that was just called Medal of Honor. That was more or less what it was. You were in Afghanistan dealing with. You were a Delta team.
I never played it.
It was an awesome game. It was definitely. I really liked it. It was a great game, but it was very much. That's what it was. You were cruising around dealing with. They were fictionalized stories, but based sort of on truth, if you will.
I think they have the perfect setup, though. With the 3 studios, I think past, present, and future for them could work out really good, because then it kind of gives you, essentially, a 2-year break between any type of time frame.
I think that would be a really good idea.
Whether they do it or not.
So far, the last game, Black Ops 3, felt very...
The last 3 have all been future.
Too similar to... Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, the last 3 have all been future.
Right. Yeah.
The last 3 games have been like future tech, gadgets, wall running, double jumping.
Yeah.
They've all
I'll be super curious to see where they go from here, because I feel like they've gone now they're not just in the near future, they're going pretty far into the future with Infinite Warfare.
Oh yeah, it's like ships warping around the solar system.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 100 or 200 years in the future kind of an idea, right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the exact date if it ever came up on screen, but I'm sure I could figure that out.
Way to do your homework. Jeez.
So you beat Battlefield 1?
I did.
That's on my radar. I will
finished it up.
I will probably beat that by the next show, because I imagine it's not too long.
Game's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I like what I've played.
Every single one of those stinking stories was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. That's the cool thing with
it's
that
split
one.
up into the 5 war stories, and every single one of them is awesome.
It's kind of like 5 games in one.
Yeah, because 2 of them are very different.
Mm-hmm. And
one of them, you're in the airplane
too, right?
quite a lot. Well, that's the thing. One of the war stories, the one with the pilot, you spend quite a bit of time in an airplane. Mm-hmm. There are moments where you're out of the airplane, but there's predominantly you're spending most of that story in the airplane. And the one that involved the tanks, it was a similar thing. You were cruising around in the tank through probably 3/4 of that war story, which was super cool. So I actually really liked the last one that I did, which was the Lawrence of Arabia one, that had to do with this crazy badass train. And I won't wreck it, because I think it's a super neat story. And what I really thought was cool, and it made me really excited in a way for another sort of the next Battlefield game, I guess, from a single player perspective at least, was that war story had a huge chunk of it where it was more or less, here is a massive area and you have 3 different objectives and you can tackle them how you choose in any way that you choose, and they're all it was just one giant open map, and there was sort of 3 kind of bases, if you will, and you could attack however you wanted. You could roll in with, you could go steal a tank and go cruise through all 3 of them, guns blazing, blowing the crap out of everything, or you could do a total stealth style, snuff out everybody, don't alert anybody, and it was totally up to you, and it was really cool. I really thought it was one of the best. It was such a... It almost felt a little bit Metal Gear Solid 5-ish.
Mm-hmm.
You start the level standing on a rock ledge looking around, and it's just sort of up to you how you want to tackle it. They just tell you what you're supposed to do, and it's up to you to go do it. And it was super cool. I had a lot of fun with it. It felt very open world, but in a good way. They gave you enough of a sort of line that you were running towards so that it didn't just feel like I'm going to get super sidetracked and get lost. But it was really good.
I got it. That's next.
Yeah.
I got hooked. I started Infinite Warfare, and I just kind of got more hooked in Infinite Warfare. So I'm like, I just kept playing that one, but I'm going to go back to Battlefield. I forgot to mention, in Infinite Warfare, there's actual stealth missions as well. And they're done. Really they're done pretty well.
Awesome.
They're done really well, actually.
I was super impressed with the stealth in Battlefield 1.
Mm-hmm. I haven't played any of it, so I don't know what it's like.
There's a very good amount of... You can sort of, if you will, screw up. And it's not painfully... If you rush a guy, he doesn't just automatically see you, start yelling and start shooting. And if he sees you and his little thing above his head goes red, but if you stab him and before he actually happens to yell or shoot or do anything, that's it. You're still in stealth. Everybody else around you is not breaking it. Yeah. And they do just enough. I mean, I played the game on normal, and it just felt like there was enough leniency with the stealth where I wasn't across the map and a guy was suddenly like, "Oh, hey, what's that over there?"
Yeah.
But at the same time,
and
if
you have
I
no
happen
idea
to
how you got spotted, that's annoying.
But at the same time, if I happened to be crawling up a ladder and there was somebody inside the room, they heard something on the ladder and they went, "Hey, what's going on out there?" And they would come investigate, right? Which was both good and bad a few times. More good than bad, because I think I always kind of ended up in a situation where you can utilize that to your advantage because they come looking and you can just stab them and call it a day. It has a really cool, very similar to Far Cry, the recent Far Cry games, as well as Metal Gear Solid 5, where you can pull out your binoculars and spot enemies and tanks and vehicles.
Can you tag them?
Yes, and they all become tagged, so you can see where the guys are running around or walking around. So you can always have a good idea of where you are and where they are once they're tagged. I guess you need that,
though, because the areas are much more open and much larger than in like Titanfall or even like Infinite Warfare, so that you really need that.
Yeah, there's some big areas, and it really does come in handy, especially because there's a few of the levels where you're more or less infiltrating, like, say, a village, and you can sit up on top of one of the towers or up on the hill, and you tag and do your reconnaissance as best you can, but there's still a good chance that you're going to get in the village, and there's going to be a bunch more guys either inside buildings or walking around that you weren't able to spot.
See, yeah.
So it's definitely in your interest to try and tag as many people as possible. But it was really well done. I felt like it was on point enough, but not punishingly difficult. So I really liked it. I really thought it was cool. And I'm just going to say right now off the bat that there was more than one of those stupid war stories that gave me the feels. I ended a couple of them, and I'm not going to lie, I was a bit misty-eyed at the end of more than one of those. They did a great job.
Actually,
they really did.
There was a point in Infinite Warfare where I was kind of like, no, this can't be happening. That's cool. That's good then. So it's got good story, good characters then to have that effect. I like what I've played so far. I just haven't played enough to give a... Everyone's had positive things to say about it. It's been pretty well reviewed. I think everyone kind of dismissed it with it going back in time. And we're like,
no, they did a great job. Single player, arguably
like,
the best out of a Battlefield game to date. Period.
Oh, probably. They've never really had a really good... Their campaigns have been they've been solid, but like, again, very not memorable.
Yeah.
People were playing
Battlefield. This one is definitely memorable.
People were playing Battlefield strictly for the multiplayer. No one ever really came out of them going, man, that multiplayer, like Battlefield 4 was like super just like whatever.
So, speaking of multiplayer, I have now played a bunch of multiplayer. But I kept running into an issue on the weekend.
Uh-oh.
The issue was that I own Titanfall 2.
Very different games. I've played none.
A bunch of my clanmates were playing Battlefield 1. I jumped in several times, 2 games by myself, as well as with people that I knew that were playing. I really enjoyed it. The game is great. The maps are huge. You can have 64-player maps, which are absolute chaos and crazy. And I think that it probably is a great indication of how the chaos that real war must be, because you run around in there and suddenly you're dead, and suddenly you're dead, and suddenly you're dead, and suddenly you're dead.
The sniper meat grinder.
Oh, between snipers and just people shooting at you from 50 different directions, and it is chaos. And I think that obviously it does a great job of making you feel like that.
I always feel like a chicken with my head cut off in Battlefield multiplayer.
Yeah, that's definitely how a lot of that felt. And it was bad because several times I was playing it and I was doing all right. I was starting to kind of get the hang of it, sort of enjoying it. It's great multiplayer. It really is. But the problem that I kept having was I could be playing Titanfall 2 multiplayer. and I know that a lot of people are going to yell at me or whatever for that. But that's just, it's honestly, I was playing the Battlefield 1, and I don't know, maybe Titanfall 2 is going to have a short-lived multiplayer similar to the first one for me. Maybe it won't have legs.
Yeah, but you're having fun playing Titanfall multiplayer by yourself. Like, that goes to say how good it is.
I've been playing it completely by myself. I've not played once. I have not played Titanfall 2 multiplayer once with anybody else. It has just been me playing randos.
I played a few matches last week, so I didn't play it all on the weekend, so I didn't see you. Otherwise, I would have played with you. But it's the same thing. Like, I play it by myself, and it's like, I really enjoy this.
It is so good. And that was the problem. I played a few rounds of Battlefield, and then I switched back to Titanfall 2. And I saw some of my clanmates playing Battlefield 1 multiplayer, and I went and played Titanfall 2.
Yeah.
And that's kind of unfortunately what has happened. I want to play Battlefield 1.
It's so good, though.
The other day, I had 4 or 5 of my clanmates. They were all playing Battlefield 1, and I went and played Titanfall 2. But it is so good. I think I'm at level 8 now. I've almost unlocked all the Titans. I think I have 2 left to unlock. I think I could buy an unlock if I wanted to, but I'm just not because...
Yeah, you got the currency, right?
Yeah. So that's another thing that I really like that they've done.
The happy hour?
You can get this stuff unlocked, and it'll tell you when you hit this level, you will unlock this Titan or this gun or this ability. But if you want and you've been playing, you earn in-game currency. And you can use that currency to unlock stuff that may be out of your reach for quite a while yet.
Whatever you want, yeah.
As long as you've got the amount of currency that you need, you can unlock those things.
And
I think that it's a really cool way to get around. Because let's be honest, like for Battlefield 1, for example, there is some shit that I will probably never see because I have to be level 45.
You have to grind. And
get I cannot
100 kills with this weapon. Or
I cannot believe how slow you level up in Battlefield 1. It's insane. It's going to take me forever to get anywhere in Battlefield 1. I think I'm level 5, 4.
They don't dole out the rewards quick enough to get you like just hooked.
For me, no. Titanfall 2, I'm doing cool shit.
Yeah, at the end of the level, you get a bunch of like clink, these bars filling up and stuff popping. And
and I feel like I'm getting places in the middle of a map. All of a sudden, my gun levels up and I get a new sight for it, or I get laser beams, or, it's just so well done. And it's so fast, and it's so streamlined, and I'm running on buildings, and I'm jumping off them, and I'm leaping from grabbing titans, and ripping out cores, and lobbing grenades at guys. Meanwhile, I'm running, and wall running, and diving, and sliding, and feeling like a total fucking trapeze artist badass. It's, to this day, I don't think another game has made me feel as cool as I do when I play Titanfall 2 multiplayer.
It's an awesome multiplayer.
And now with the grappling hook, you've even got that now. Or if you want, you got the cloak. I mean, there's just so many cool things about it. And there's more guns now. There's more Titans now. I feel like they all play better. The customization is there. It's so much more fleshed out that I don't think the problem that I had with the original Titanfall of just playing it for a week and then sort of feeling like I'd seen everything or played everything to a point where I felt that I was fine with not doing anything else. This, I feel like there's a lot more stuff to see and a lot more stuff to do. The only thing I will say, though, that is a little bit disappointing is the maps feel a lot more samey than the first Titanfall did. The maps in the first Titanfall game felt very different. They felt very varied. There was the tropical beach one. There was the one in the middle of the town. There was one on sort of the outskirts of the weird planet with the crazy wildlife. There was just a very large variety of what felt really neat and varied. And I don't know, from a visual perspective, I feel like a lot of the maps in Titanfall 2 just kind of feel a bit the same. Like they're obviously different and the map design is different and the layouts and things are different. But I just, because obviously all of Titanfall 2, I guess I shouldn't really say that in case there's people that have played it, but they're all essentially on the same planet. And so it's varieties of locations on that planet mixed with some factories and some other locales from inside it. But it just doesn't feel as varied as the maps in the first one do.
On the plus side, you're not going to have to pay for maps. So when they eventually release some new maps, you will get those.
This is actually totally true.
So that's a good thing.
I'm really hoping that we get some of the maps from the first game, actually, that they re-release. That would be super cool.
That would be cool. Some of the Titanfall 1 maps are pretty amazing. Just their layouts.
They're so well designed.
They created some really good spots for battle and congestion points that worked out really well. It was tough playing Titanfall 2 and then going to Infinite Warfare was the Infinite Warfare multiplayer. It's like, I want to play Titanfall.
Being able to call in your Titan and then leaping out of a building and having it grab you and stuff it inside and wrecking shop, that's an awesome feeling. Yeah. It is such a cool feeling.
You wrote down here Gears of War 4. Did you play much of it or just start?
I finished the first act.
Okay.
So
I think there's 5 acts, I want to say.
So there's 4 or 5 chapters in the first act.
Mm-hmm.
So the first act ended with sort of a horde mode-ish thing where...
Yeah, that's kind of
that's
the introduction to that horde mode. You're in the village,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you're in the village and you gotta set things up and the replicator and stuff. Yeah. I'm playing it on PC with a mouse and keyboard.
Isn't that so different?
Oh, it's so good. I don't know how I played in a Gears of War game with a controller. I honestly, now...
It felt good with a controller, but being able to
I don't know if I'll ever be able to play it again with a controller.
Just being able to snipe people so effortlessly with a mouse and keyboard is pretty enlightening, or empowering, I should say. It's just like, oh, that feels good. Because sometimes with the controller, feels good, but I'm like, oh, just shoot the fucker in the head. You know?
The only thing that I will say is that playing it with a mouse and keyboard makes you realize how sort of frustrating some of the control schemes are because of the controller. The movement with the way the stick is and stuff on a controller makes it work. But when you're using your WASD keys, having to hit your space bar in order to run in that weird running way feels a little awkward, which is too bad.
It took a while to get used to.
Yeah, it took a bit of getting used to, but man, being able to use a mouse and keyboard, it is so awesome.
You enjoying what you played so far?
Yeah, it's really good. It's really pretty. It runs really good.
It's pretty solid.
Huge. Game. It was like an 86 or 88 gigabyte install.
At least they updated the store and you could choose where to install it.
Yes. I was able to point it to where I actually had space, which was nice.
Was it the Forza demo or was it Quantum Break, where it would only wanted to install my C drive, and it's like, yeah, I don't have the space for that. Like, you suck.
Yep.
So they finally updated that. That's nice.
Yes, that was huge.
Man, this year for shooter, if you're a shooter fan, it's a pretty solid year for shooters.
Yeah.
Doom, Gears, Battlefield, Call of Duty, and Titanfall. Just like, wow.
Yeah. Huge. So no, it's really good. It controls well. It's very pretty. So far, the story's kind of neat. I like the prologue where you get to see a bit more about what's going on. I'm intrigued with what's happening so far after the first act. Like, I want to go back and play more.
Yeah,
because they've piqued my interest. I'm curious. They've let just enough story come out so far that I want to keep playing to find out what's going on, which is cool. So
it's not the best Gears story, because I think Gears of War 3 was the best, but I think Gears of War 3 had an unfair advantage. It was a conclusion to a trilogy, so there was a lot of payoffs.
Right.
So it's not...
I feel kind of bad.
It's fair and not fair, but like next to Gears 3, I think it's just like right up there.
Yeah. I feel kind of bad because I've played 3/4 of Gears 2 and never actually finished it. And I actually own Gears 3, and it's sitting here in the package still, and I haven't actually opened it. And here I've skipped straight to Gears of War 4.
Which is alright. It's its own, it's a new self-contained story.
That's actually why I decided to do it.
From the old games, which is cool when they show up and do their cameos.
Yeah.
It's definitely a solid title. That was like a month ago or so now that I talked about it.
Yeah, a few weeks ago. Yeah. So that's kind of on my plate now. I'm playing through more of that.
Well, maybe you'll beat that by next week, and I'll beat Battlefield.
I don't know if I'll beat it by next week.
Okay.
Depends on what my weekend looks like.
I'm definitely going to beat Battlefield.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah.
I don't know. I started Dishonored 2. Because I picked it up. Actually, before I talk about Dishonored 2, the embargo is up on Pokemon, so I'm going to talk about Pokemon. And then I'm going to talk about Dishonored.
Okay.
Pokemon Moon's really good. 9 out of 10. Go get it.
I've heard that it streamlined a lot of Pokemon and sort of brought it back to...
I wouldn't say it's brought anything back to...
Sorry, I didn't mean brought it back by brought anything back. By brought it back, I mean that feeling of the excitement of a new and fresh Pokemon game.
Yes. New
That's
locale,
what I've been hearing.
New Pokemon, new areas to explore, new systems. The riding Pokemon mechanic is pretty cool. You get I think I've got a couple Pokemon I can ride now, and they have different abilities. So in the old games, for those of you who haven't played Pokemon or been under a rock for the last 20 years, it's basically an RPG where you capture monsters, create a team of 6 of them, pocket monsters, aka Pokemon, create a team of 6 and battle other trainers and their teams of Pokemon, and or, battle and capture wild Pokemon in the wild. Meanwhile, in this game, it's a little different. It doesn't have gyms. All the last games, you had your 8 gyms.
Yeah.
And then you go challenge like the Elite Four and then the Champion, whatever. Pretty much the same formula. And then there's always some like ridiculous story about some other team and their motivations, stealing people's Pokemons, wanting to free the Pokemons, wanting to enslave the Pokemon. It's always been something along those lines.
Right.
The big adversary in this game, I've played about 15 hours. I'm on the second of 4 islands. I haven't learned the big enemy or big motivation of what's going on besides what I'm doing. I'm the new kid. We just moved to the Aloha region. And your cousin happens to be the Pokemon professor for the Aloha region. And he's like, oh yeah, this is, you should go on the challenge and, do the trials. There's 4 trials, 1 for each island. And then there's like captains that you beat, which are kind of like, I guess you would say the closest thing to like gym leaders.
Okay. Interesting.
So I've beaten a couple captains. You get, I don't know if there's mega evolutions in this game. They might have gotten rid of those. I'm not sure. Those existed in all the games or the last 2 or 3 generations, but I don't know if they're in this. I might not just be far enough for it, or they might have just don't have it anymore. I don't know. I might not be far enough for that. Like I haven't beaten the game.
Right. Yeah. They're usually quite long, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. They're huge. Like I think
easily get 30, 40 hours.
Oh yeah.
In a Pokemon game. From what I remember.
I think my clock on Alpha Sapphire is like almost 100 hours now.
Wow.
Yeah, because I've been doing all the hunting legendaries and all the extra stuff at the end, which I've never really done before. I just got super hooked. This one's all 3D. It's really cool it's not just a top down like some of the other ones. It's like it seems to be a pretty new vamped up graphics engine. It doesn't even support 3D on the 3DS. Like it just doesn't, the engine's taxing the system enough that there is no 3D effect at all.
Wait, so you mean to tell me if you turn on 3D on your 3DS, nothing happens?
Nope, nothing happens. I think it's too taxing. When you turn 3D on the last couple 3DS versions of Pokemon, you could tell that the frame rate dropped quite a bit. So I guess in terms of what they're doing with this new one, they got rid of that.
The hell is the point in having a system called the 3DS if your games won't display in 3D?
They have the 2DS. It doesn't even have 3D anymore. Anyway, side point.
I hate the fact that they're throwing 3D away. I like 3D, man.
On the new 3DS, it's really cool because it works really well.
I know. That's what I love about it. It's so cool.
In the old games, you would get like roller skates and a bike to speed up your traversal around the map. In this, you can run just right off the bat. But like I said, a big thing about this game is like the riding of Pokemon, and they have special abilities. So I've unlocked a couple. You don't need like the rock smash ability trained to one of your Pokemons to smash rocks like you would need in the old ones.
Goodness.
Like in the old games, it's like you can't go this way. You need a Pokemon.
Pokemon with the rock smash ability.
Maybe if you had a Pokemon with a certain ability, you could get through here. Well, that's not the case in this. In this, you get a Tauros, which happens to be the Pokemon Go, like North American exclusive Pokemon, so people might be familiar with that one. You actually ride him, and he does
caught one of those in my living room the other day.
He does like a charge that smashes through like rocks.
Oh, sweet.
And then I got another Pokemon now, what's this? Schnauzer? What's his name? Shit. I can't remember. He's a dog Pokemon, and you ride on him, and he's pretty fast, but he has the ability to sniff out the environment and find hidden items. In the older games, there was items that would do that. In Alpha Sapphire, you wore this little dorky helmet that had these lights on it that would blink when you were kind of like a hot cold game, whereas this dog sniffs the ground and gets all excited.
So you mean what Pokemon Go was supposed to have?
and then there's more. Like eventually you fly. Someone just alluded to me. They're like, if you beat blah blah blah. I assume that's someone on this island, because why else would they imagine it? They're like, you get a Charizard and you can fly around, and I'm like, that sounds freaking awesome. So far, I'm really liking the game. It's so cool. It's still Pokemon, but it is an evolution. It's still like, I guess, a kiddie RPG at heart, but it's so polished now. The systems is showing like the abilities, effectiveness against Pokemon you're fighting. Such a small little thing. I think I mentioned that last week, or when I played the demo, because that was in the demo. Like if you fight a Pokemon, it just shows you what's effective, what's not effective. And it's really cool because you can go to choose a Pokemon to switch, and you can easily just click through all your Pokemon. It shows all their moves and instantly find someone who has like a super effective move to pull into the battle.
Oh man, that sounds so good, because I'm not going to lie,
you'd go look at your phone or the internet.
Well, I was playing the last Pokemon game. I can't remember whatever the hell it was. Not Sapphire, the one before it, with the rollerblades, where you're cruising around with the rollerblades.
You have an X or Y.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it's Y that I've got.
Yeah.
And I would be battling a Pokemon, and I couldn't remember for the life of me what Pokemon was effective against it, because I'm not a giant Pokemon nerd like you.
Like grass beats water, water beats fire, fire beats grass.
And then I couldn't remember what some of the Pokemon even were. Like there was some of them that I had in my game, and I was looking at them going,
"Oh, this like
okay, I think that's what this one is."
There are now how many types of Pokemon?
Yeah, there's poison. And
it's doubled.
So many.
It's double digit now.
It's kind of ridiculous. So that is super helpful, because for somebody like me who, I just don't think about it anymore, and I'm not deep into the Pokemon lore. So that would be very nice.
18 Pokemon types.
Wow.
So yeah, you try and remember those matchups. And there's 700, or I think there's 800 plus Pokemon now.
Wow.
So some of them are obvious, like you're some fire, water, electric Pokemon, or grass, bug. Like some of those ones are really obvious, but some other ones, like you have no idea. It's like, I don't know what the type that is.
And then you've got the ones that are psychic and...
Oh yeah, there's mixes. So they have double the weaknesses and double the strengths, because you can have dual type Pokemon. But yeah, there's the meta in Pokemon, like you could think of it as a kid's game, but the meta in this
surprisingly
game
deep.
It is insanely deep. You could laugh or like just shrug it off, but the depth of the teams and team comps you can come up with, and the cool mechanics you can mix up, there's some really intense shit you can do. Like Pokemon World Championships, they have some really intense battles. Anyway, totally going off tangent. What else was I going to say? So they have the other thing, we were talking about Mega Evolutions, they have Z powers now, which are essentially like kind of little mini summons. You have this bracelet and you do this little dance with your Pokemon, almost like kind of like a haka. You do these like hand motions and shit, and your character does this shit, and then your Pokemon goes on fire, and then they do like this super crazy move. And there's Z moves depending on like whatever type your Pokemon is.
Right.
They'll do a different Z move, and it's like basically like a super effective attack. But they're really cool because it has like a big animation and a big lead up. I've gotten 2 of those, and I guess that's because I've beaten 2 captains. So I've got the normal and the fighting type Z moves available to me. So any type of that Pokemon, you just give them that item, and then you can do the Z move with them once a fight, which is really cool.
Interesting.
And like I said, it has like a huge cutscene, and they do like this really crazy attack, which is like
it's kind of like an ultimate.
It reminds me of like a summon from Final Fantasy.
Nice.
It's a good game. It's
Bahamut, I call you.
So far, it's everything I could have wished for and more.
That's awesome. That's
more,
good to hear.
It's more Pokemon. It's quality Pokemon. Like I said, 9 out of 10.
Wow.
I haven't beaten it. It might go up. It might go down. But
fair enough.
I'm having a hard time because I just want to play that, but then I have all these other freaking games.
Yeah.
And I got Dishonored 2. I just started that. I'm only like 3 chapters in, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bang off Infinite Warfare because Dishonored 2.
Did you finish Dishonored 1?
No.
Okay.
The nice thing.
Good job.
No, I got to go back. The nice thing with Dishonored 2 is that it's a continuation. I know most of the stuff that I got far enough in Dishonored 1
to kind of understand
to know what's going on in this one. Like, right. I don't feel left out at all. And the way it opens up, it's all the details. It's a character that wasn't in the last game that's come out of left field to start the ball of motion of what's going on in Dishonored 2. So
okay,
I don't really think you need to play the first game to play Dishonored 2.
Interesting.
You do and are familiar with some of the systems, and there's nods to characters from Dishonored 1. But
okay,
I think I've met and know all the characters. Like, I've played far enough in Dishonored 1 that I know what the outcome is I'm killing the guy who killed the queen, right?
Right.
That's so, and I know
spoilers.
The game's like 4 or 5 years old.
I'm kidding. I'm still playing through it. So,
but you know what I mean.
Obviously, like, sidetracked due to the fact that all these awesome games came out. But
the writing's on the wall for Dishonored 1. Like, after the first story mission, you know what. Clear your name, kill the guy who killed the queen. Like, that's the whole story.
Yeah. It's a revenge tale.
Mm-hmm. This one, sort of, kind of, yes, no. It's a little different. You could play as Corvo or you could play as Emily. So Corvo, I imagine, plays a lot like the first game. So I decided to play as Emily because I think you're stuck as that character through the whole game.
Okay.
It's kind of like a Resident Evil 2 vibe,
right,
where
you can play one or the other,
and you play the whole story, and you go back and play as the other. So I wanted to play as Emily because her powers looked really cool.
Fair enough.
I'm playing it on Pro. It's in 4K. I believe it's 4K 30. I don't know if it's native or upscaled.
You mean you're playing it on the PlayStation 4
I'm playing
Pro,
it on the
right?
PlayStation 4 Pro.
Okay.
I specifically got it on PlayStation because I wanted something that was Pro, enhanced by Pro. It's like right on the box.
Oh, look at you all fancy with your PlayStation Pro.
Fantastic. At first, I'm like, okay, I could tell this is like 30 frames a second because I can instantly tell. Like, going from Infinite Warfare, playing Infinite Warfare at like almost 4K res at 60 frames a second.
Right.
And then going to this, and it's like, okay, this is 30. But it looks freaking fantastic.
Wow.
It looks beautiful. There's no HDR, which is kind of disappointing. I don't think there's HDR because it's not obvious because I played some of the games with HDR and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a night and day difference, right?
We'll talk about the Pro specifically more at the end when we get to our free-for-all section, but I'm really liking Dishonored 2. I can already tell it's a great game. Like, it's solid. The world building, the story so far, the gameplay. It's Dishonored 1, but more. I'm really liking what I've played so far.
So what you're saying is that if you're a fan of the first game, you'll probably be very much happy about this one.
If you love the first Dishonored, this game's obviously right up your alley. And as someone new to the series, it's a stealth game, but it's not a punishing stealth game. You don't have to play stealth. There's benefits to playing stealth, but if you fuck up, you've got the tools to decimate these guys. You've got really cool powers.
That is one thing I very much really like about Dishonored is that the stealth is done in such a way that you can stealth it, and then when you get found or if you screw up, you can still go and play the level, and it doesn't just punish the crap out of you because you didn't play stealth the whole time. And I really appreciate that as somebody who usually screws up the stealth at some point and has either to start over again or has everybody chasing my ass. So
it, like I said, it's a great game. If you were worried about not playing the first one, I don't think I'd be too worried about that. It actually comes with a code for the Dishonored remastered version.
Oh, nice.
So you can go back and play that. Or you can play it first and then play this one, but I don't think you need to do that. I'm really happy. I'm dying to play more, but I know it's like a 20-plus hour game, and in that time I could bang off Infinite Warfare and Battlefield, and I think that's what I'm going to do.
Fair enough.
And then play Dishonored 2, so maybe a couple weeks till I really get that banged off, but I'm loving it so far.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Yeah, too many games, man.
I know, there's so many right now. It's
time.
Ridiculous.
I guess with that, I could say we could get into the news.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've been playing.
So, newsy time. News. Should you buy a PS4 Pro? That is the question everyone is asking their mother and their father. Mommy, should I buy a PS4 Pro?
As somebody who does not own one, I feel that the answer to that is...
To be honest,
do you currently own a PlayStation 4? Then if the answer is no, then buy a PlayStation 4 Pro. Do you currently own a 4K TV and currently own a PlayStation 4? Probably that you want to upgrade. If you have the money, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, what I'm saying is that if you don't have a 4K TV and you already own a PS4 and you have the money, go for it. If you don't have the money, I wouldn't be worried about it, at least not right now.
I would wait until probably next year, next spring.
There you go.
When something like Horizon, which you know is really going to take advantage of the PS4 Pro's features with that added power. I have a 4K TV. I can take advantage of it, so I got one. I'm very happy with it. I guess I'm going to talk about it now because it relates to this story. There's been stories all over the internet. Should you get one? Should you not get one? Like Dayne said, if you don't have a PS4, it's a no-brainer. Why would you buy the old one? Unless you couldn't afford it, because the old PS4 is still awesome. Still awesome. Like Titanfall.
Totally.
Titanfall 2 on PS4 is 60 frames a second, and it looks fantastic. You don't need a Pro. But if you can afford it, why not? There's a couple stories out there that some games are running worse, but I imagine that's going to be a firmware or a patch thing that'll fix that stuff. It's, that
is not something that I'm worried about.
No, I wouldn't be worried about it if you heard stuff like that, because it's new hardware. There's going to be some hiccups. Having an HDR 4K TV, though, oh my lord. I played Infamous First Light.
Yep.
Which was a pretty game. It was fine.
That game is beautiful.
Holy shit, dude. In HDR on the PS4 Pro, it's native 4K and HDR. It's unreal. It looks amazing. HDR is so cool. I can't wait for more games to take advantage of it. It's just one of those things you have to see.
HDR is, I think, I want to say it's going to be the new awesome feature of 4K TVs, and it will probably be the feature that pushes people to actually upgrade to a 4K TV, not so much for the 4K, but for HDR. But I feel like at this point, so many people are so fine with their HD TVs that I don't know
that 4K is enough.
People like you and I, and other geeks and stuff out there.
We can see the difference. We can
totally see the difference, and we watch 4K HDR and we go, holy shit balls, this is amazing. The question that I have when it comes to this, and this are things that they're pushing right now hard, obviously, because the TV manufacturers are trying to figure out the new thing to get people to buy a new TV. Because let's be honest, they convinced everybody to upgrade their TVs between DVD and Blu-ray, because now suddenly everything's in HD. And that was such a huge jump. That was a massive jump. Arguably the biggest jump that your TV in your house has ever had. I mean, I would go as far as to say that was almost a bigger jump from VHS to DVD, but that's arguable. Yeah. But that was a huge jump. But the thing is that if you go from HD to 4K, for somebody like my father, for example,
he has no clue.
He might not even be able to tell the difference.
No.
Whereas going from DVD to Blu-ray or from non-HD to HD, he can tell the difference.
Yeah.
And he's interested in that. That's a difference that he can see and that he wants.
It's a tangible benefit.
Absolutely. But to convince somebody like him that now he needs a 4K TV, that's a bit of a stretch for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously they tried 3D, which I am a huge fan of, and I love 3D, and I think it's fucking rad, and I hate all you fuckers out there who don't like it, because now I am having a hard time getting movies and things like that on 3D, because you assholes don't like it. But that's a whole nother rant in and of itself. So they tried that, and don't get me wrong, that's got some issues, but overall, I think it's really cool. Do I think that it's something that's awesome from a television perspective? Do I want to put my glasses on all the time to just watch regular TV in 3D? No. Do I think that it's a super cool technology for that when you want to watch a good movie and you want to watch it in 3D? Hell yeah. That's how me and my wife watch 3D content. We have 3D Blu-rays, we throw our glasses on, we enjoy it, it's great. That's awesome. But again, a lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people felt that it was gimmicky, et cetera, et cetera. So that more or less stopped a lot of people from buying a new TV. They didn't feel that they needed a 3D
I got my 1080,
TV.
I don't need a 3D TV. And now it's kind of the same thing with 4K. But
Exactly. They're pushing the 4K, but now they're adding the HDR, and that is kind of the new thing that they're trying to convince people that this is what you need. You need HDR. Now, as somebody who's seen it, and like you said, I think HDR is awesome, and I think that is exciting to me. That now, if I could get HDR 3D, that would be super rad.
I can't wait. Like I said, I can't wait until more games support it. You have to see it. It just adds. There's such a depth to the color, the blacks, the whites, the lighting, everything. It's just. Flashlights.
Well, you're seeing way more color, right?
That's
the thing is you're seeing more color.
It's so cool. Like especially
HDR allows you to see, I believe, the full 100% of the color gamut, whereas non-HDR does not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you're actually seeing more colors in HDR.
So it makes the imagery that, when you saw HD for the first time, you're like, oh man, that looks lifelike. That looks like we're in the room. Mm-hmm. Well, that's because that was the best picture you had seen up until that point. When you see an image with HDR, it's like, okay, that's like just a window into that person's house. This is kind of freaky. Playing Infamous First Light just is I think it's the only game I have with HDR. I don't know if any of the other ones have HDR, because Dishonored 2 doesn't have HDR, and most of the other games that have pro features is just like 4K up-resing or native 4K or whatever, 4K and faster frame rates, whatever. But that game actually has the HDR and the 4K. What is it? What's her name in that game? I can't remember her name now. Fetch.
Fetch. Yeah.
She has neon powers. So neon looks cool in video games. Her powers and the neon effects in this game now just look and glow with this amazing vibrance to them. It's like, holy shit. I'm like, wow.
I mean, I do want to point out that game itself looked amazing. The effects in that game
now it looks even better. It's crazy.
I remember playing that for the first time, and my wife was walking by the TV, and she just stopped and watched me play for a while, and eventually was like, wow, this game looks really good.
And on the Pro, it looks really, really good. It makes me super excited that all the new stuff is going to have some neat new features or benefits to it. It is really cool having it in 4K. I noticed instantly, like even with Dishonored 2, the sharpness on it, my TV looked good with the PS4 before, but now I feel like I'm playing like on a high-end PC. Right. That visual fidelity that us as no, to be quite honest, me and you, we are PC master race. We always say we play our shooters on PC. We play most of the games on PC except for the exclusives.
Right.
But honestly, with the PS4 Pro, if that's all I had, I wouldn't feel left out of not having a super high-end gaming PC, because that fidelity is pretty much there. It's like having a really good gaming PC.
Hey man, if I could play with a mouse and keyboard on my consoles, I probably wouldn't even own a PC. That's where that one for me, yes, the fidelity of a PC can be amazing, but the price for that fidelity on a PC is stupid high.
So it's kind of funny because a lot of websites and a lot of people out there, we're a tiny outlet. But I've listened to a few podcasts and sites and people. Mind you, I bought my PS4 Pro. They got PS4 Pros given to them from Sony.
Right.
And they don't even have 4K TVs, so they've all been like, meh. Like on the on the PS, to be honest. It's kind of infuriating because they've been given the system and they don't even have hardware to test it properly. And they've just been like...
That kind of pisses me off.
No, they've been like, meh. It's like, no, if you have it, you can't give an opinion on it until you see what it's capable of. You need to go out and buy a 4K TV. Or
that honestly pisses me off, though. You're having technology that is designed specifically for a thing, and you don't have that thing that it was designed for.
Yeah, it's really infuriating because I've seen some impressions that have been kind of, like I said, meh. And I've seen idiots in comments on forums and just comments on these stories. Oh, PS4 Pro doesn't even do native and this, that. And it's like, you guys don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's not a $1,600 SLI PC running 4K at 60. It's using tricks and processing tricks. But it's running games upscaled and or... with that checkerboard technology,
rendering technology
they have, they're running stuff natively at 4K. So however you get there, the end result is a visually better looking game on these displays.
It's using the checkerboard plus upscale.
Yeah,
right?
like these guys in forums.
Checkerboarding is essentially the HD version of interlacing,
version.
right?
Yeah, it's a fancy
You're
version.
able to render essentially half of the amount of information per frame, but when you run them together, they look amazing.
Mm-hmm. But when the image, you got these guys in forums and comments sections, and they're saying, oh, whatever, it doesn't do this and it doesn't do that. It's like, you don't have a 4K TV, so what are you talking about? Like, why are you poo-pooing something that you have no clue about? You're just being negative because you're angry that you don't have it, or you're a fanboy in the PC camp or Xbox camp or whatever. You're just poo-pooing it because you hate Sony. I understand, yeah, it would be awesome if this thing did native 4K with no upscaling, but PCs barely do that.
Yeah.
Like, with my
They're claiming that Project Scorpio is going to do it. I
will be super surprised.
That, or it's going to be a lot more money than people think it's going to be. It's going to be one or the other.
I got my...
Yeah.
This made me start to want to play my PC in 4K.
Right.
So I have my PC hooked up to my TV. I've got it running at 4K. I was playing Gears of War 4 natively in 4K, and I was getting about 50 frames a second. It was very impressive with everything on the highest settings.
Right.
It was awesome. Not 60. Above 30.
But it was probably close enough that you were okay with it.
No, it was freaking amazing. And then you know what I did? The cool thing with all new PC games now, in the past couple months, they have a render resolution and then the 3D render resolution. Like, they separate the two.
Yeah, so you can essentially upscale it.
Yes. So what I did is I just dialed the game down a notch to 75% of the 4K. It's not true 4K, but it's not upscaling 1080p. I barely noticed the difference, and it jumped above. It was pinned at 60 frames.
Awesome.
And it was barely noticeable. So, like, this argument that people have about, well, it's not 4K 60, it really kind of doesn't matter. with the quality of upscalers and the tricks that you can do to get your frame rate up there, who cares that it's not native 4K? I was kind of really hung up on that, but I've been playing Infinite Warfare and I've been playing, I was playing Titanfall all on my TV at 4K, dialed down a notch because I wanted it to run at 60, but they all ran above 30.
So I assume that you picked up a different HDMI cable then?
No, my big long one I had supports it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it supports 4K, no problem.
Nice.
4K 60 hertz, like it's
Sweet.
fine. Anyway, it looks awesome. Now, the only thing that pisses me off is my TV only has one port that's HDR compatible.
Oh.
As with most of these TVs, which they don't say out front.
Right.
All the ports are capable of 4K, but only the one port's capable of HDR, which is kind of annoying.
That's super annoying.
Though I haven't looked into how to enable HDR on my PC. I think Battlefield 1's the only game I own that potentially has HDR, and I don't know if it's in the video settings or not. I'll have to look for that because I didn't take note. Because I know Tomb Raider has HDR on PC.
Yeah.
You just turn it on in the video manuals.
Okay.
I did find a switcher, though, for not very expensive, like a 5 HDMI in, 1 out that supports 4K and HDR.
Oh, okay. That's a good way to go about it,
actually
maybe.
kind of nice because it's an auto switcher, so it just detects when you turn something on.
Nice.
And I could just
switches over to
I could put it behind my consoles, plug all my consoles in, and then I never have to switch inputs on my TV. So,
there you go.
I will research into that because now it's
make sure it doesn't add input lag, etc., etc.
Yeah, it says that it doesn't. So it's a pretty.
Yeah.
It specifically mentions that there's no lag. So
nice.
It looks decent. And they can mount it to the bottom of my little entertainment center and plug everything in. So I'll have to research that. Right now, with only being one PC game that I think I own that supports HDR, I'm not too worried about it. Because, man, Infinite Warfare looks pretty fucking sick on my TV already. It's pretty cool. The nice thing with Infinite Warfare, which I kind of like, it actually has in the video settings, it has a monitor section where you choose what monitor you want it to output on. Every other game, like Titanfall 2, I have to go into windowed mode, drag it over to my TV, then go in and go full screen, which is kind of annoying.
Oh, that is annoying.
You can, like, I'm running an app right now, but in the paid version, it has a send to monitor button, so you could just click it and send it to, like, say, my TV. But with games that don't have an actual, like, what monitor do you want to output your game on? You have to basically just put it in windowed mode, drag it over, and then click into full screen. It's not that big of a deal. But it's
right, unless you were to make the monitor or to make your TV the main monitor when you start the game.
Yes, but
if you were to make that your main monitor before starting your game, then it would automatically open there.
That would work, but I don't want to do that.
That's kind of a pain.
It would screw up my layouts for what I have right now. It's just easier.
Yeah.
So that's kind of annoying, but whatever. It works. I'm pretty stoked.
Sweet.
I don't know. I'm living in the 4K future. 4K future.
I feel like there's actually got to be a hotkey that you can somehow.
There might be something out there that. Excuse me. There might be something that I'm missing.
Try Windows key P next time, because that's essentially the projector button. So if you go Window P, that outputs to a projector. That might actually get you there easier too.
We'll see.
So, you can play with that.
So I'm pretty happy with my Pro. If you were on the fence about one,
I want one.
I think if you have a 4K TV, it's a good investment. If you don't have a 4K TV right now, I don't think it adds enough to existing games to even bother. It says they run better and this and that, but honestly, I don't think there's really been any benefits to anything that currently exists. You're not really going to get the benefit of owning it if you don't own a 4K TV. But if you, like you said at the top, if you didn't have a PS4 Pro, why? Unless you couldn't afford it, why wouldn't you? Yeah. People are having a hard time buying the NES Classic.
Yes, they are.
Came out on Friday. Typical Nintendo. They've been doing it for 30 years. You can't get one. Good luck. I ranted and raved on the internet. Dayne made fun of me because he's like, you're part of the problem. But it's just annoying for other people. I got one, but I promptly sold it because there's such a demand for this thing. It's like, why wouldn't I flip it?
like I said, ultimately the issue here is that Nintendo knew full well that there was going to be insane demand for this thing.
They said they didn't know.
And yet everything leading up to this, every website that ran a story about the stupid thing publicly admitted on Twitter, holy crap, we have 3 times the amount of traffic today because of this stupid Nintendo NES Classic story. So Nintendo coyly coming out and being like, oh, sorry guys, we didn't realize that it was going to be such high demand. That's bullshit. This is classic Nintendo. I swear I've come to the realization.
Oh, after 30 years,
this is what they do on purpose.
No, absolutely.
Because they know that people are going to want it, so they know that there's going to be news stories written about how people want it, and it's the hot new item, so that is going to do their marketing for them. The Wii was the same thing.
The Wii U, not so much.
Well, no, Wii U, not so much. But the Wii, the original Wii, that thing was sold out for 6 months afterwards because they trickled out the stupid production. And let's be honest, nothing about the original Wii was hard to reproduce, hard to manufacture. They have all the parts. It wasn't a cutting edge, bleeding edge technology that was needing to have silicone that was having issues or anything like that. Nothing like that. This was somewhat old technology already being put in here. They could have ramped up production on that thing so fast, and yet they chose not to. It's a similar situation here. The NES Classic, it's a board. The thing has got to be so simple on the inside because all it is a cheap emulator.
$60 US, $80 in Canada.
Exactly.
It's clearly an inexpensive device.
They must be when they knew that there was going to be when they knew there was going to be high demand for this thing, they could have ramped up production and had 2, 3, 4 million of these sitting around, no problem.
But
I do not believe for a second that they couldn't have done that. And instead, where are we at? Oh, they're sold out everywhere. They're selling for $500 on eBay, or at least they were, because people are stupid.
They are stupid.
You know, go buy a real Nintendo if that's how badly you want a freaking NES Classic.
I think someone wrote a story out there. Could you buy all the games on there and an original NES for what the prices were going on eBay? It's a cool little device. It's awesome. And the price is right. And that obviously that's why it's going to be a hot item. It is just infuriating that 30 years of this happened with all the Zelda Gold cartridges. This happened with the N64. Like you said, it happened with the Wii. It happened with Amiibos up until the last year and a half. It happened with, I don't know, you freaking name it. They've always been short on supply, high on demand. The only
thing they have managed to ever get right on supply has been their handhelds. You can generally go in and buy their handhelds, unless it's a limited edition where a bunch of stupid people are going to run out and lose their minds over it. But if it's just a regular 3DS or the new 3DS, they generally have those in proper supply. They're a little bit tight, but they're fairly easy to get a hold of. Everything else, though, they seem to specifically not manufacture enough and then go, oops, we didn't realize that it was going to be really like
it's great that they are getting all this press, but at the same time, if you just open a pre-order link, and I think I said this on one of the past shows, you create a pre-order link, you have unlimited pre-orders, it's a non-refundable deposit, so scalpers can, if a scalper orders 100 of them, he's stuck for them, so it doesn't affect your fans who want it. But you could also do a thing where if, say, you did pre-order 100 of them because you're a fucking idiot, but say you did, they could say that they're only going to give you 5 initially, and then 5 out of the next batch, and then 5 out of the next batch, and so on and so forth. Or they just cancel all your orders, like when you buy too many tickets to a concert.
Yeah, they could do that as well.
They could have a system where they would know, and then everyone could get one. And Nintendo would go, look, we have 50 million of these that people have paid for.
Yeah.
And then you just make money hand over fist, and you don't piss off a single consumer. Or You fucking ruin a bunch of kids' Christmases. You piss off a bunch of consumers that are like on their last straw with the Wii U and the Wii and Nintendo doing this for 30 years now. And they're just, you know what? Fuck Nintendo. I got Sony and I got my Xbox. That's the thing that annoys me. That's what I got one. It was hard work. And yes, I fucking flipped it. Because why wouldn't I? Like, I don't need one. I could freaking emulate Nintendo games on my cell phone, let alone my computer and my homebrew 3DS.
Yeah,
I don't even have to emulate them. You could buy the games on the Wii U and the 3DS.
Yep.
I got a bunch of them for free for being a 3DS ambassador. So I just want this thing for the nostalgia's sake. It's just, but man, Nintendo could be making it's just money left on the table, because by the time they make the supply, the demand will be gone and they will sell not as many as they potentially could. This is
classic Nintendo, though. But
it's such a simple system. It's so dumb. I know they like the demand, and it's classic Nintendo and this free press and the mind share. But the thing is like, does that mind share matter when you only sell 10 million when, say, you could have sold 20?
Think about this. When Pokemon Go was released, what should have Nintendo had? Their little gadget dongle thing, whatever the hell it's called. If they would have had that, they would have made so much money hand over fist. It would have been insane how much money they would have made.
I don't think you can get those things. I think those things are still like impossible to get.
But now, who's honestly playing Pokemon Go? Beside the people that have those now, I mean, yes, they might still be difficult to get, but in all honesty, people have sort of forgotten about it and them.
There's still a lot of people playing Pokemon Go. Unfortunately.
Oh, I'm not saying that there's not, but compared to what it was when it first came out,
it's not the 80 million like it was at launch.
That's what I'm talking about.
They're still making good money though. But yeah, if they had this little
but that's my point. Is that is classic Nintendo. If they would have had that thing out day one with Pokemon Go and they had proper supply, because let's be honest, how hard has that thing got to be to make? It can't be that difficult.
No, that thing's super cheap.
Exactly. If they would have had that thing day one with Pokemon Go, I would have bought one. My wife probably would have bought one. Hell, everybody in my office probably would have bought one. But now the thing is out and none of us care because we're sort of half done with it, and chances are none of us will buy one. That's all money that they all missed out on because they were stupid and they just missed the window. And that's my point with Nintendo. They're constantly doing this. And this makes me, watching them with this NES Classic, makes me terrified to find out what the Nintendo Switch launch is going to look like. Because I can tell you right now, that thing, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but we're already talking about Nintendo. The Nintendo Switch price was possibly revealed this week. Toys R Us in Canada leaked very briefly a page that said that it was going to be, I think it was $329 Canadian, which means you're looking at right around $250 American dollars for the Nintendo Switch, which I think is probably a great price, though.
Yeah,
I think it's right in line with what they need. I think it's, I think that's, if it's $250 American and whatever it ends up in Canada, who knows what, with idiot running the US and everything else, what our dollar is going to look like by then. But if it's $250 American, that is that sweet spot, man, where so many people are going to be able to afford it. You're looking at having, instead of 10 million people being able to buy it at launch, you're going to be able to have, or a few million people, or even 1 million people being able to buy it at launch. You're going to have 10 million people being able to afford to buy it at launch. And I guarantee you they're not going to have the demand. They're not going to have the supply for that demand.
That does scare me, because I want to switch, and is it going to be impossible to get?
And are they going to do another thing with this where they're not going to open pre-orders?
Oh, that was part of the other.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Right?
That's part of
let's be honest, as soon as pre-orders show up for that thing, you and I both are going to try. But who knows? This is classic Nintendo. Are they even going to open pre-orders for it?
I guess we'll find out in January after we get more details from that press meeting they're going to have.
And the fact that they're releasing such little information, and this thing is supposed to launch in March of next year, that kind of freaks me out. How many of these things are they already building? how far along are they?
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be like a soft launch where they're saying, yes, we're releasing a few of these in a few countries, but
yeah, because they've definitely
what's that going to look like?
They've definitely been soft on their expectations on how much to produce, right?
That's my point. I feel like they could go full tilt from here till next March, and they're still going to be sold out day one, guaranteed. Especially $250 American. That's crazy cheap.
Mm-hmm.
That is a sweet price point. That's like, if this was $400, no.
That would be a huge mistake.
No, that would be a lot of people going, I already have a PS4 or I already have an Xbox One.
I already have an iPad.
I already have whatever. I don't need this for that price. But for $250 American? Hell yeah. Sure. It can be my second or my third console. I don't care if I play it every day or not. This is great because I paid half the price of the other ones. And yeah. So if that rumor's true, which it probably is, to be fair, we've talked about the price already, and I think that we felt that $250, $300 right in there was probably the sweet spot.
Yeah, like $350 on the high end, I think is the highest they can go.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there was maybe a $250 and a $300 one.
I heard there's multiple bundles, is the rumor. I guess.
Yeah.
Then again, it's all rumor and conjecture right now. We'll know more in January. I hope they have pre-orders.
All I know is that this NES Classic makes me freaked out about that. All. It does not make me feel confident that this launch is going to be smooth at all.
Bottom line, this is true for sure.
So, here's hoping I'm wrong.
And since we're still this is a very Nintendo heavy episode. Super Mario Run, $10 American, 13 Canadian. To purchase the game, it will be free to start, I think, with a few levels, it says, and it's coming out December 15th on iOS.
Any word on an Android release yet? Or?
They said shortly after. I'll probably try this for free on my wife's phone, since she has an iPhone. I don't have an iPad.
Oh, okay.
I can install on my mom's iPad, so probably I'll just play it for free there, and if I do like it, I'll most likely buy it when it comes out for Android.
Right.
But I think it's the model most. I think it's a model hopefully more mobile games will adopt. Free to start, and then one flat price to unlock everything. This money grabbing shop that mobile games take advantage of with their pay to play stuff is kind of annoying. And if I like a game, I just want to buy it and have everything.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. There's a certain mobile game right now that I'm thinking of that I wish I could just purchase and have everything and be able to unlock things as I play it or whatever, some sort of an unlock grind maybe, but this whole having a microtransaction or just hope to unlock something cool when I get enough out of a free crystal or whatever is
just annoying. Just sell me the whole
super
game.
Annoying.
Whether your price is like super unrealistic, like how much money do you get off the whales in a mobile market that if you just put a price that wasn't $1 on your game that you might actually make some money? Like the mobile market's already a race to the bottom.
Or at the very least, make your tiers or make your whatever you want to call it, make them affordable. Because when you add these like bundles together and then you put that price point at like $20, it really defeats the purpose of microtransactions and small transactions because I just feel ripped off.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it was, this particular game that I'm thinking about, that the game that I'm talking about, if it had purchases that were $2 to $5, I probably would have spent $40 on that game already.
If you
but the fact is that the lowest one is like $20.
You're talking about Transformers.
That's
worse. Like if you could just buy the characters you want to buy for like a couple bucks each.
Oh,
kind of like you could just buy.
I would have been all over that.
Just like you could buy your characters in Heroes of the Storm or League of Legends. You know what you want, and you just could buy it straight out. You'd probably,
I would have gladly purchased a bunch of money.
Instead,
but the problem is in order to give them money, I have to purchase a bunch of stuff, and then I have to randomly
it's RNG, and it's terrible.
unlock these crystals that I may or may not have multiples of. I could pay real money and get a multiple crystal of a bot that I already own. I could get a duplicate. And then that duplicate in this particular game just gets broken up into a bunch of resources that I would have otherwise got anyways.
Yeah.
So literally that money that I paid real money for would be useless. It would be totally gone.
I made a purchase once in that game because I enjoyed it enough that I felt like, okay, I'll throw them $14.
Right.
But man, did I ever feel burnt for spending that money.
See, and that's the opposite.
It was an absolute waste of money, and I was just like, hey, never again. You're never getting another one of my dime. And that game has been so bad with its like gating of content to push you towards spending money that I'm like, this game's kind of not good enough to berate me for all this money. It's not rewarding enough, and it really seems like this game is all it's designed around is sucking money out of you.
See, and I don't like that.
No, it's really
that's
bad.
Actually
it's
the same.
It's terrible design, and it's like huge disrespect for your players.
That's the same problem that I had with the last Star Wars MMO when they decided to go free to play. It's one thing to go free to play, and you could do it so well that you don't feel berated, but you want to pay money all the time. There's multiple games that Smite is a perfect example. I have probably spent, in the time that I've played Smite over the last several years, I've probably spent $100 on Smite.
But you could just choose what you wanted to buy.
But the thing is, too, is that it was $5 here, $10 there, $15 here,
and
$10 there.
It wasn't random unlocks. You were purchasing exactly what you wanted.
Some of them were random unlocks, and I knew that I was doing that. And some of them were specific things that I wanted.
Like Here's the Storm. I think I spent $20.
Right,
free to play game, but I've gotten hours and hours of enjoyment of it, and I spent some money on it. But I purchased exactly what characters I wanted to unlock, so it was. I didn't feel ripped off.
Well, Smite, right off the bat, once I realized that game was awesome, and I was gonna,
you bought that.
I bought the $30 Founder Pack, which got me all the heroes that there was currently in the game and all that there ever will be. Done, boom, $30, done. Best $30 I've spent on a video game in ages.
Deal.
Yeah, but these other ones where you're playing a game and they're constantly pushing it in your face. Hey, you would be able to unlock this right now, but you don't pay to play, so you don't get that till down the road. Or if you want, you can do this.
You're still playing.
That was the issue that I ran into playing the last Star Wars MMO, because initially it was obviously pay and subscription based, etc., etc. Then they decided to go free to play, but they implemented that free to play so poorly that after playing it for a few hours, and the only reason I really played it was with some friends that were super interested in playing it, we had a blast. But it constantly was berating me and reminding me that I wasn't the top tier, that I wasn't subscription, that I wasn't paying for it, that I just finally said, this is bullshit. This is stupid. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And I've never touched it again. I've uninstalled it and I've never touched it. And yet, if they would have done it properly, I probably would have easily spent at least 20 or 30, maybe even $50. Who knows?
I've definitely spent a lot less time playing Transformers because I've honestly just felt burned by it. I'm just like, no, you don't want to reward me for being a loyal player. You just want to suck me for more money. So I've just been like, I have no care, honestly, lately to play that game.
Which really sucks because I actually really enjoy playing it.
I enjoy playing the game, but because it's so blatantly obvious that they're just trying to rip you off for money, it just pisses me off. Like, their newest upgrade, you have to spend money. If you're not spending money, you don't have the newest feature of that game. And it's randomized. You can't just spend $10 or $5 and get the requirements to meet that new stuff they've added. It's totally random. So Sure, it could cost you $10. No, it can't.
But it could cost you 50.
It's a minimum of what to honestly maybe get those bots you need to create a combiner. Honestly, it's probably minimum 20 if you're super lucky. And from looking at all past unlocks in that game has a terrible RNG. It totally screws you. It's got shit odds not in your favor. You probably have to spend $100, and for a shitty mobile game, it's not even fucking worth it.
Yeah.
Anyway, to go back to our topic, Mario is going to be a set cost that gets you everything, which is, I think, more mobile games should do that.
Yes.
But because the mobile marketplace is a freaking mess of sharks and crooks, it's been a race to the bottom, and people have had such a hard time making money on just even free games that, everyone in the mobile space, I'm not going to give you $10, but that's not the right attitude to have. They should have set costs, and I think it's good that Nintendo's doing this. It's like, yeah, you can get free to start. Here's a couple levels and an intro to the game, and then if you want the whole thing, one cost. No other microtransactions. That's great.
Yeah. I hope we see more stuff like that. I would gladly pay somebody $10 or $15.
I think every mobile game
and
should
have everything.
I think every mobile game should have that, and they should, if they want to have their microtransactions, they can have that too. But if you decide to just purchase the whole thing, you get the whole thing.
That would be awesome.
You could microtransaction for $1,000 because you're an idiot and you didn't just buy it for the 20 they wanted. There's nothing that forces you to buy it. You can just do it piecemeal, but to have that option, I think every game should have that option. Players who pirated Pokemon Sun and Moon are getting banned.
Good.
A lot of...
That's what I say.
as noticed by all the leaks of Pokemon Sun and Moon, a bunch of people obviously ran out and pirated the game because the game, everywhere I've gone and people I've talked to, like at EB Games and stuff, they've said that this has been their most pre-ordered game of the year, like beating like everything, like Titanfall and Call of Duty, like hands down. They've said this is the most pre-ordered game. Obviously,
I'm not surprised.
Probably has a lot to do with Pokemon Go reigniting a lot of people's nostalgia for Pokemon. So they're like, oh, what's the new? Oh, there's a new game coming out this winter. Oh, I gotta get that. So Nintendo's probably gonna make some good bank on this. So anyway, people have been pirating the game, and Nintendo's actually been banning their consoles. So if you have a 3DS and you pirated it, there's various means of pirating. There's homebrew backdoors. There's even you can hard mod your 3DSs as well. There's like a whole scene. And they're getting banned. So it doesn't brick your system or anything. You can't access the eShop and you can't use any online functions on the 3DS. Though there not being many, it does kind of cripple your system a little bit, which is fine. Whatever. That's their prerogative. That's their right. It's just funny to see the stories of all the kiddos just like getting pissed off. Like, I stole your shit and you're punishing me? Fuck you. The worst possible news, though, of the day. Persona 5 has been delayed to April.
Oh, that sucks.
Supposed to come out on Valentine's Day. Is now coming out April 4th. I think this is the 4th or 5th delay for this game, so...
Well, the crazy thing is it's only for the English version of the game, right?
Yeah, it's already out in Japan.
That's what I thought. So it's literally just a matter of
it
localization.
It just came out in Japan like a week or two ago, or a couple weeks ago. Yeah, they're saying they're adding dual audio, so you can get Japanese or English.
Right.
In the English version, which makes no sense because the Japanese version's already out. So why would that make it take longer to add something that's already complete? I guess they just had to say something so people didn't burn down their building.
Something that I just remembered, speaking of delays, that we didn't actually have it here in our outline. There's a rumor going around right now that Zelda may very well not be a Switch launch title.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is as much of an issue as obviously some people on the internet would have you believe.
There's a rumor too that Horizon on PS4 is going to get delayed.
Interesting. But this, I think, speaking of our Nintendo dishappiness, I guess, this is so indicative of Nintendo recently. How long is this? They just I don't even know what to say about this anymore. It doesn't surprise me. I think just because the rumors are that it has to do with localization and it's taking a lot longer than they anticipated.
Are you talking about Zelda?
I am talking about Zelda. I feel like this whole... It amazes me because the Wii was not an HD system. The Wii U was the first system that Nintendo started working on that was actually HD, and it was only half HD because it only output at 720p, I believe. If anything was actually showing up at 1080p, I'd be amazed on the Wii U. But they seemed to consistently struggle with releasing games in HD, and this just continues that. And I don't know if it's Nintendo artists, I don't know where this disconnect for them is. Everybody else has figured out, okay, by the time the PS3 ended, everybody else had sort of figured out this is HD, this is how we build for HD, it's more difficult, we need more time, etc., etc., etc. Yes, we have a lot of games now that are still getting delayed. That's not uncommon, obviously. As we just said, Horizons may get delayed. And obviously Persona is getting delayed. But this is just crazy to me because this game was announced with the Wii U and has been in development the entire time the Wii U has been a thing.
It's got a pretty big scope, so...
If it's delayed and it helps it be better, I'm all for it. This is yet another
I hope it's ready for launch.
Nintendo moment. There's another rumor that we may get
at Nintendo show.
There's a rumor that we may get a new Super Mario game in its place at launch with the Nintendo Switch.
But they better have something.
But the fact
I still want
to
a Switch regardless. But that would be pretty upsetting if the Zelda isn't available. Especially
this was supposed to be a Wii U game, for crying out loud.
Well, it's still coming out. It's still coming out for Wii U.
Oh jeez.
It's still coming for Wii U.
Yeah. So anyways, that's also a thing that's
we do not comment on rumors and conjecture.
Speculation.
We just get infuriated by them. That sucks about exactly. Persona, but let's be honest. I got enough games to keep me busy until next winter.
True enough.
There was some other news, but we're running long, and I don't give a shit to talk about it, so I deleted it off the outline.
Cool.
We can talk about it next week or another time. I want you to talk about your phone. So if you haven't figured it out, we're done with news. We're in our free-for-all section. If you're still here, we're almost done. Don't worry. We'll wrap this up quick.
Hey, man, we had a short one last week. We're running a little bit long this week. We're making up for it. Come on. We aim to please.
Was it short last week? I don't think it was. I think it was long. I think it was short the week before, but...
I don't know. We're making up for it.
Free-for-all.
Yeah.
Dayne, you got a Google Pixel XL.
I did. And I just want to say... Oh, it's so nice.
So you had to give back your other phone, right?
I did, and I gladly gave it back.
You had nothing but issues with it. Let's not get into that. Let's just talk about your Google Pixel.
Quick backstory for those of you who may have joined us recently.
Roger sucks.
Understand. I had a Galaxy S7 that I bought shortly after they launched earlier this year. I had nothing but problems with the stupid thing since day one. I'd hoped that it was a software glitch. I had tried everything under the sun to fix said issue. I had spoke to my carrier. Initially, they were sort of useless, but understanding of my situation. Recently, I had just absolutely got fed up with it, got a hold of them. They said, we understand that your problem is a real problem, We are actually trying to work with Samsung to figure out why that problem is a problem. We still don't know. And we're working with them to fix it, but we have nothing really to tell you. Long story short, I ended up sending it back, and they sent me a Google Pixel XL in its place. I have now had it
That's pretty good trade. You had a phone for 6 months and got a brand new phone?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it was really... I actually thought they were sending me a regular Pixel. It was only till once it showed up that I realized it was an XL.
So what's the difference? Just bigger screen?
Bigger screen, higher resolution, and bigger battery. So the XL has a 2560 by 1440p screen and a 3440 megahertz or battery. Versus
how big is the screen?
5.5 inches.
Okay, so it's not giant. It's like a note sized.
Yeah. Slightly better specs, but really, to be fair, pretty much similar. Snapdragon 821, 4 gigs of RAM, etc., etc.
The new chip that if you got a phone today would have.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that in the Pixel they actually underclocked it so it performs almost identical to the 820 chipset. Design is super nice. It's all aluminum.
And it's stock freaking Android.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's stock Android, but it's almost like Google's version of Android. So it's not like a Nexus phone that had just the bone basic Android of Androids.
It's Nougat, right?
It's got 7.1 on it, which is the newest of the new Android versions. It's got the Google Assistant. It's the new hotness. It's Google's new hotness.
How big is the storage on the phone?
The one they sent me was 32 gigs.
So 32.
It comes in either 32 or 128 gigs. Those are the two.
And then it's basically
sizes.
They give you unlimited Google Drive or Google Cloud or whatever, right? That's the big thing.
For your pictures, that's the big thing, is they will upload all of your pictures and you get unlimited Google Drive storage for your photos is what they do. I don't believe it's unlimited Google Drive for everything, but for your photos it is. So you can
not videos?
Back up and I believe photos and videos. I'm not 100% sure about videos. I know photos for sure. So it's got the fingerprint reader on the back. It's got a really nice camera. Definitely, it's at least in line with the S7. I don't know if I would be able to say one of them is better than the other one, but they're at least in line. They're very, they're super close. They're really nice. It's a great camera. Screen's really nice. You know, OLED.
Like a nice phone. Looks like an iPhone.
I know it really does. I got the black one. It's got on the back. It's got this kind of this weird chunk at the top of the screen where the whole back is aluminium or aluminum,
aluminium,
or however you want to pronounce that. It's aluminium on the back, but the top has almost a glass window that's cut out, and I think it's partly design and also partly, I think, to make sure that you got a good cell signal and Wi-Fi signal and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, okay.
One downside, it is not waterproof. So the S7 and the Xperia that I have for work, the Sony, they are both IP67 certified waterproof, which is really nice. So they can be fully submerged. This has, I believe, this one is splash proof, as they call it. It's IP, I believe it's 53, which for all intents and purposes is not
dropping this in the pool.
No, you would not. Absolutely not.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that's really the only downside, though. Everything else about it, I will say my signal on this, which was my huge problem on my S7, has been amazing on this. I'm honestly amazed at some of the reception that I get with this phone. It is great. It's been fantastic. I'm very happy with it. It was definitely a nice... From a design perspective, I really liked the S7. It was thin, it was light, the screen was fantastic, the camera was great, the speed on it was fantastic. It was just, I continually had that issue with the reception and having to constantly be rebooting my phone anywhere between once a day or once every other day, and sometimes even more than once a day in order to get my shit working again.
Yeah.
So I haven't had to reboot it in, I don't know, a week or more, and it's awesome still. Reception's been great. It's fast. It's honestly, I'm really impressed with it. I'm very pleased with the outcome. To be fair, the guys at Rogers, once I started laying into them, they were surprisingly awesome about everything. Once I explained my situation and explained that I will never be purchasing another Samsung product, especially a phone. I shouldn't say a product because they do make some other interesting things that are quite good.
Of course, Samsung.
But I will definitely never buy another Samsung phone myself.
Samsung has just had
they're having a bad year. They're having a bad year in the phone space.
No, it's awesome the phone works.
Yep.
It's been pretty highly regarded phone.
Yeah. So it's Google's, I mean, it is their version of Android. It's interesting because there's certain things that they've kind of done to skin it, if you will. So everybody says stock, it's running stock Android, but really I like to think of it almost more of, this is Google's version of Android.
Yeah,
this is what they envision.
It has a few more things bolted onto it, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, I'm really happy with it. It's, like I said before, I would just, if it wouldn't have been for that one issue that I continually had with my Galaxy S7,
that's gotta be
I was
some bullshit
happy
from
with it.
Rogers, because my S7's flawless, so it's got to be.
Well, no, I don't know. It's definitely something to do with Rogers because
they never swapped your phone, did they?
No,
but at that point you were kind of done anyway.
But that's the thing, is they offered to. They said they could send me a refurb.
And you're like, no, I want a brand new phone.
Or they said we could send mine in and they could repair it. And I said, you don't even know how to fix the problem yet. How on earth are you going to repair the phone that you don't know how to fix the problem?
Yeah.
I said, and I don't want you to send me a refurb because there's a good chance that somebody sent their phone back that was doing exactly what mine was and just didn't tell you.
Yeah.
And you would think that it's fine. You would have no way of telling otherwise till I get it back.
And they'd be like,
so I said,
gave
at this
you a phone,
point,
there's nothing wrong with it.
Yep. And so then at this point, I just said, look, I'm done with Samsung. I'm done with the S7. I want nothing to do with them. And they tried to sort of pawn off a few of the older ones initially on me. And I kind of held my ground and said, look, I want something at least the same class.
Yeah.
And this was kind of the only thing that really that they've released recently that's in sort of the same class as the S7. So, and I honestly thought because I had the S7, not the S7 Edge, I honestly, when we talked on the phone, I thought they were sending me the Google Pixel, the smaller one, which is a 5-inch screen. And I that's what I thought. The guy said, okay, we'll send you a Pixel, whatever. And I said, cool.
Yeah.
And then I got the box and it was a Pixel XL. So I was like, all right, sweet. I'm not going to say no.
That's really cool.
So yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you don't have phone troubles anymore.
Yeah, me too. It was 6 months of awful. So
we talked about the Pro already.
We did.
I bought a Artemis Spectrum wireless headset from Logitech for my PC.
Really?
The G933, which we played with and really liked at PAX a year ago.
Yeah.
Again, last year they haven't updated. It seems to be doing really well for them, that headset. We really liked it then. Newegg had them on sale. I don't know if they currently have them on sale. It was actually a refurb for $140. And I'm like, you know what? They're 250 regular. For 140, I can, take a gamble and see if this is up to snuff. And if it isn't, I'll send it back. The thing came, it was like in the hassle-free packaging, like it didn't come in like the retail packaging.
Yep.
There's no sign that this headset was ever used. It was brand new. So I don't know how this thing is refurbed because the thing was brand new. It's had the brand new out of the plastic smell. It wasn't there's no scratches or wear marks or anything on it. You couldn't even tell that someone had even ever worn this thing if they had. Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm sure being a headset, they probably had to replace the earpieces. They probably had to do some replacement of some stuff regardless. Right?
Either way, it was brand new. So I took a gamble and like, sweet. It's an awesome headset. I really like it. I wanted it because now that I've been playing with my TV and I'm turning from my desk to my right to play on my PC games on my TV.
Yep.
Having the corded headset was very annoying because when I got up and like almost tore my head off the one time and knocked everything off my desk was really annoying. I'm like, hey, that's not cool. And the really neat thing about this headset as well is it works with Xbox and PS4.
Oh, nice.
Though you have to
via dongle.
No, it has a mini plug cord which you plug into your PlayStation 4 controller or Xbox controller. So
so it plugs into the controller. Okay,
yeah, so it's not truly wireless like
on PC or
like on PC where there's no wires at all. Like when you're using a headset to your PS4 controller, you usually just plug it in the controller. Same with the Xbox. You can get truly wireless ones that don't have any wires for those as well. But it's like this is kind of a neat mishmash because it works for everything.
Yeah, because I've got the PlayStation Gold headset.
Yeah, I have the Elite one I got on a price match a couple of years ago for $75. I got that as a Christmas gift. So I still use that for my PlayStation, but for my Xbox it's kind of nice. So now I kind of have a dual thing. But the big no cords. Has a little mic that folds down. When you fold it up, it like disappears into the headset.
Nice. That's like the Razer one that I've got at work.
When you fold it up, it's just muted. When you fold it down, it's unmuted. So for the most part, it's just out of the way. It's nice and lightweight. It's comfortable. I'm just so impressed by the sound quality, though. Compared to I have some Razers right now, the Blackhawks.
Right. Yeah,
which kind of remind me like they look like helicopter pilot headphones. They're not bad. But man, the Logitech ones, the G933s, Artemis Spectrum, they just blow them away. They're 7.1. I mean, to be fair, price points are a little different. But the Blackhawk was $100. Well, I didn't pay that much. I got it at a silent auction for $50. But the Blackhawks are like $180.
No, they're right around 100.
They might be
20, 130 maybe.
Now,
I just looked at them in Best Buy the other day.
Now,
I believe they're 120.
They've been out for a good year or two though. They were definitely up closer to 200. But yeah, they don't even compare. Yeah, they're definitely different brackets now in terms of pricing. But wow, I'm so impressed. I was thinking there was going to be issues. The app says I used them all day today, and it still said that there was like 7 hours life left. The little USB dongle, I just have it plugged into my hub on my desktop. So if the batteries do die, you do get a cord with the mute switch and volume and all that stuff.
Okay, cool.
You could plug
so it's rechargeable battery then built into the headset?
Yeah, it's built into the headset.
Cool.
I imagine you could just plug in a micro USB and still use it wirelessly. I imagine that would work just fine if the battery was to go down. But if you don't have a cord to plug it in to charge it while wearing, you could just use the micro or the headphone jack cord and go into the little dongle up to the headset, and that would continue your audio working. It's a nice headset. I'm pretty happy, especially getting it for almost half price. I don't know if that's still available. That's newegg.ca. I don't know if it's still available. At the best, I've seen them on sale is $199 for a new one.
I have a pair of their G35s that I've got. Their USB headset here at home.
The cord was killing me when I was playing on the TV. Now I got to get a wireless controller. Probably one of the new Xbox controllers, which works with Bluetooth to PC, but I don't know. That makes me go down a slippery slope because their controllers are so expensive. They're like $75. And if I'm going to pay $75, I may as well pay $300 and get an Xbox One S. But you know how dumb that would be.
Hey man, you got that 4K TV now. It happens to have a Blu-ray player that plays Ultra HD Blu-rays.
Then I'd have to get the stupid. Then I'd have to get the bloody Switch because that thing's HDR as well. Doctor Strange. We've both seen it.
I just want to say that as a huge fan of the comic books, I loved it.
It was a pretty fantastic movie. Very different Marvel movie.
Super different Marvel movie. Love the feel. It was an origin story. I didn't feel that they lollygagged. I like
origin stories.
I think origin stories are cool when you don't actually know a ton about the character, or there hasn't been 13 origin stories
I know
before
jack
it.
shit about Doctor Strange, so I don't know how close to the comics any of this is.
Fairly, the origin story stuck fairly close to it. Awesome doctor, amazing, bad car accident of his own sort of doing, busts up his hands, can't practice anymore. That all of that is totally from the comics. That's all canon, absolutely. After that, it kind of gets a little bit different from the story and stuff.
Yeah, because the Ancient One's not a female in the comics, right?
No, but seeing as the character is what the character is, I don't think that really matter. No,
Yeah.
not at all. Benedict Cumberbatch was amazing as the Doctor.
He was awesome.
Not only did he look the part, he nailed the asshole, arrogant Doctor before, and he nailed the becoming sort of the funny Doctor Strange guy later.
His transformation from being super serious and that arrogant prick to just like,
super cool. The visual effects and the mind bending. That was so awesome to see.
Visually, one of the coolest movies I've ever seen.
And initially I was really curious / cautious about how this was going to transition from the comic book into a film, because in the comic, it is very much like they did in this film. It is very psychedelic. It is very out there and
multiple
weird and
spirit,
absolutely.
Energy, life, death. Like I said,
fighting on the astral plane, all of that stuff, all from the so well done.
Really cool concepts that they touch on, and they don't dwell on a lot of stuff too much, but gets you thinking about stuff. The whole journey he goes on, enlightening, opening him up to, like, you have no idea. You think you know everything because you're a neurosurgeon and you think you're a god among men, but you know nothing of the universe. It's such a cool...
Absolutely.
And it's so true. Like, we know nothing. We know our little bubbles we live in, but there's just so much unexplainable. We have no fucking clue.
Yeah. No, and I thought they did a great job with the sort of the quote unquote villain in this film.
So is that a comic book villain or known villain? So like that's not they didn't make something up. They just pulled some actual existing.
Yep, that was actually an existing character, as well as if you stuck around. Did you stick around till after the credits?
Yes, I saw both extra bits because you told me there was two. You know, besides the whole journey of him getting to become Doctor Strange, man, talk about an amazing conclusion to beating the villain. Right? I don't want to say any more than that, but talk about they don't do that in movies. That's not how. Like he won, but he won in such a unique method.
Absolutely, he thought outside the box.
Once it started, I knew where it was going,
right?
But I didn't see it until it started, and then it's like, oh, I know what he's gonna do. I know, and it was it was the peak of his progression as a human, as the doctor, as the sorcerer supreme, like everything coming together. And it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. How, like, it was such a cool ending to the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
And the whole journey there was just like really mind bending and fun. It was really cool. It was a great flick.
I think it was a super cool intro into that side of the Marvel universe, because there is that magic / mystic side of the Marvel universe that they hadn't introduced at all yet.
What was it? Is it Wong? Is that his name? The library keeper?
Yeah.
And he was like, the Avengers, they protect the world from physical threats.
Yep.
We're on a different plane. We
protect against spiritual threats.
Spiritual magical threats.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's super cool about Doctor Strange. I mean, obviously he can be a total badass sorcerer to things on the physical plane. Bad, various villains that have shown up in the Marvel universe, but he does so many crazy battles, so many crazy things that other Marvel characters
are even unaware
have no idea that he's battling, and why he's even called the Sorcerer Supreme sometimes. And that was, I think, what was so cool to see in the film, is that you gained sort of the gravity of how much of a badass he can be, and obviously how much more he becomes later.
Oh, I could imagine. Like, this is like he's just graduated elementary.
Oh, absolutely.
Or he's going from kindergarten to elementary.
Totally.
In terms of his skill set and power set, I assume he becomes even more and more powerful.
Oh yeah, way more powerful. Multiple artifacts,
and they even alluded a lot in that movie of how they all question, like, how the hell did you figure that out? Like, obviously that you've got this natural knack for this. Like, he's got a gift to become a sorcerer.
Yeah, absolutely. He's super talented with it. Yeah. As a fan of Doctor Strange, definitely one of my favorite comic book characters.
I imagine you must have had just a grin on your face the whole time.
Oh, I want to go see it again. I really do.
It, for me, not knowing a lot, made it really fun and exciting and enjoyable. But I could imagine if you're kind of burning out on the whole comic book thing, it's villains, superheroes and villains, but it is such a different take. Just like Deadpool was like flipped the genre on its head. Not so much like Deadpool, because that was like almost a comedic approach to switching things up. Yeah. But from just a different angle, this is switching things up. It's not your Avengers. It's not your Iron Man. It does have the stuff we've fallen in love with the Marvel stuff, the humor and so forth. And obviously the amazing like special effects and visuals. I imagine it's a good thing this movie probably came out now as opposed to earlier in the whole Marvel like cinematic universe, because this is must have been a difficult movie to bring to screen. Visually,
I think
it's
so.
Insane.
Yeah, and I think that's part of always been a bit of the challenge for Doctor Strange coming to the screen, is that watching some of the making of films and some of the snippets leading up to this film, the director and stuff, that's exactly what he was saying, is that we're finally at a point where we can bring Doctor Strange to the screen and do it justice. Because I think the technology and stuff just wasn't there beforehand. Whereas now we're at a point where we can bring it to the screen, do it justice, and it works. Whereas I think before, if we were to try and do it without the technology being there, I think it would have come across as super cheesy and probably wouldn't have had the same kind of impact.
Yeah.
Especially the way that some of the things happen that they don't necessarily affect the real world because these battles and things are happening in another either dimension or in another plane. So there's literally a huge battle happening in the middle of New York City, but nobody in New York has any clue that it's happening. And that kind of stuff was always super cool as a fan of the comic book, reading about and knowing, like, let's be honest, when the Avengers are fighting a huge battle in the middle of New York City, the entire world knows about it real quick because it's destroying half of New York City. Whereas when Doctor Strange is fighting to save the world, there's a good chance that outside of some sorcerers or some magicians or some mystical beings, chances are most of the people in Avengers and other people in the Marvel Universe probably don't even know about it.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool thing to see them do in the film in a really cool way, that these are happening, and it almost had a little bit of a Matrixy feel to it a little bit, which I really thought was cool. So I feel like it's a movie that you have to see in the theater because it is such a big impact and huge set scenes. And I saw it in 3D and I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought the 3D added
IMAX
so
3D.
much. I thought the 3D added so much cool
it
stuff.
It looked really good because I imagine it wasn't post processing because you could tell the 3D was done really well.
So, if you like 3D, I would highly recommend you check it out. If you don't like 3D, then I don't know that it's going to be a film that's going to change your mind about it, but I felt like it was worth seeing in 3D.
No, it was. I thought it was great. It was an awesome IMAX 3D movie. It was a cool movie. I really liked it.
Yeah. So
check it out if you have a chance. If you're on the fence, it's definitely
I also went and saw Miss Peregrine's House for Peculiar Children, which I can talk about another day because we're running super long.
Next week we're getting kind of long. I'm just like, it's getting late. We're almost
cool film though.
We're almost
cool
2.5 hours. If you stuck with this long, I appreciate it. Hopefully, we didn't upset you or piss you off
too much.
Sorry, sorry if you're mad at me for selling my NES, but man, I don't make $1 million a week. I'll take advantage of suckers that have more money than sense. Because if I don't do it, someone else will. I got to pay for them PS4 Pros and 4K TVs.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter at RickF. No K, RICF.
As usual, you can hit me up on Twitter as well at Dayne Cody, at DAYNECODY.
Follow us on Twitter at Geekoholics. Like us on Facebook, Geekoholics. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave a review. Share with your friends. And
absolutely,
we'll be back next week. Dayne will talk about a silly movie. I'll probably talk about Battlefield and Pokemon more.
Yeah.
And I might have Watch Dogs. For whatever reason, my copy from Amazon hasn't shipped.
What?
I don't know.
Those lazy buggers.
I don't know if it's because I got it for whatever reason for $50.
Oh.
They had it on their site for $50 during E3 pre-orders, so I don't know if they're just going through all their other orders first, and then eventually they'll give it to the people who managed to get it on that crazy price, because that's like $30 off.
Yeah, that's like a good deal.
That'll be like Black Friday prices at release. I've been hearing good things about it. Really good things about it, so I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah, it's been getting pretty solid reviews. So,
and then I will just, since I've seen Doctor Strange, I will learn how to fold space and time to create more time to play more video games.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Just pause time.
Yeah. Play a ton of video games in that paused time.
All right. Well, until next week, I'm going to say we're out.
Go see Doctor Strange.
Do it. Peace.